doing well this morning. Got a lot to talk about. Do we not? What's up, TikTok folks? Good morning. Welcome, everybody. Just getting started. A lot to chat about today. A lot. And then, of course, there is the possibility that the Supreme Court is going to rule on birthright citizenship today. So that is probably going to be a thing. What's up, Jay Nice? Maybe so. We are better than this, or damn near close to it, right? Hey, Mustafa. What's up, Doug? Hey, Farah. Good morning, Brandy. Good morning, everybody. Glad to see you guys rolling on up in here. Hey, Sherry. Good morning. You thought they did that before? Nope. No, not unless it's been literally within the last couple of minutes. Jay Nice, no. I have it pulled up, so I don't think so. But I will double check. Good morning, No. Good morning, Neuro Mama. Good morning, folks. What's up, David? Good morning, Mama Dukes. It is supposed to be today, Red Hot. It is supposed to be today. What's up, Blue Honey Pot? Hey, Kimber. Hey, Aline. And of course, what's up, Eureka? Terry, good morning. Hey, Alice. Spider, good to see you as well. So listen, the other thing too is I'm just keeping in mind I'm being fluid and being flexible. Good morning, Amy. What's up, Scotty? Also, because I understand that rulings may come down today and we're going to have to kind of do what we do, right? So, no, thank you. Folks, if you're watching me anywhere other than TikTok, make sure that you say hello because I cannot see that you join if you do not speak. If you speak and you are on Substack, I still cannot see it because Restream and Substack do not speak to each other. And I hate that, but I think so, Cam. I think so. So we'll just see. But so yeah, Substackers, love that you're here. Sorry that I can't see your comments. And I'm grateful for you. What's up, Texas Butterfly? Good to see you as well. What's up, Gigi? Yeah, Mama Dukes, listen, so her lives do tend to be a little bit like that. But she also does a fairly decent job, of just calling a thing and calling people out, which is something that I do respect about her, right? So no matter what side of the aisle folks tend to be on, she does tend, thanks for boosting, Jamie. She does tend to call a thing. And so I appreciate her doing that, right? Good morning, Merlot. Why do I feel like I haven't seen you in a minute? I don't know why, but yeah. So, hey, Mel Gray, it's one of the few, I guess, red spaces or conservative spaces that I go into. And it's only because she is respectful and she tends to, did we, Scotty? I haven't seen yet. And she gives me respect and whatever. I know, Merlot, I don't know why you just stuck out to me today, but we'll take it. Okay, let's pop and take a look for just a second because I don't know where my tab went. And no comments about my tabs. I don't need them for you. Thank you very much. Let me just pop this up here. And I may have closed it and not meant to, but it is possible. Okay. So I'm going to keep an eye out. Yep, 126 days. Oh, my geez. Oh, that's why you asked me that, because the sticker was up there. Got it, girl. Yeah, so nope, it's up there. The 126 days until midterms is up there. Yeah, I'm kind of excited about that. If you all are not, that is like 4 months and a week. And so, yeah, Red Hot, I didn't even see it, girl. It just was a sticker for me. I just didn't even. Good morning, Witch. Good to see you. So let me go ahead and pop this up here as well. Yeah, we got a lot of work to do, and your girl has to lock in. It has been, I'm actually excited about the data center graphics. Yeah, no, I gotcha. So the data center graphics are just about ready to upload. They should be finished today. And they will be finished on a, yeah, this morning. Okay, that's why I haven't seen it. So yeah, so I'm excited about that. The national graphic, of course, is already done. the state graphics. I'm all the way down to Texas. Um, yeah, appreciate it. Thank you. So I'm excited about having those conversations. I think that it's really important, and I'm not really sure what I think about whether or not I'm going to end up changing this backdrop or not. But there are a couple of different areas where I feel like we're going to have to dig in and have conversations between now and the midterms. And I'm going to share with you where those are. Okay. So I truly feel like part of the conversations that we're going to have is about, and it sounds weird to say this, but we're going to have to talk about religion before these midterms. We're going to have a conversation. Thanks, Jay Scott. We are going to have a conversation about religion and about ideology and about reconciling your personal faith and what you choose to believe and politics. You not Black American. What does that mean? Technique to Trill. Yes, I do. Yes, Terry, I have. Yeah. So technique to Trill. If you want to come up and ask me questions, then feel free to come on over here. I didn't watch it yet, but I read the deal. What you said. Um, Yeah, I read how you knew it was coming. Okay, so listen, let me just go ahead. If you are new to me, go ahead and put a one in the comments. Technique to Trail. I know that you are new. I'm going to open up the panel. And one of the reasons I'm going to do this, I'm going to try to open up the panel more and more. We are going to have some discussion today. Shut up, Cam. And yeah, so I know, Terry, I saw that a couple of days ago. And then today we are going to read the Powell memo in full. So that won't be right this second, but it will be shortly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the panel, and then I'm going to do the Powell memo, some other things, some news. Yeah, no, you guys aren't new. And then we'll do panel again. If you're new to me, I only ask for 4 things in this space. 1, I ask that you be respectful. I ask that you don't use slurs of any kind. If you use a slur, you will be muted, and then you will be booted from my space. I don't get down like that hill. Here it's supposed to, which, yes. Number 3, don't spam my comments. In other words, if you got something to say it once, say it twice. Don't say the same thing 500 times. And last but not least, do not type in all caps. And the reason why is because I have folks in this space that are vision impaired. So be respectful of people with disabilities and do not type in all caps. It is only for those folks and my moderators. Got it? All right. As long as you can do those 4 things, we're going to get along just fine. I'm going to go ahead and open up the panel. When I bring you up, put yourself on mute until I get to you, please. Okay. Trill technique. It looks like you went away. I don't see you anymore. Where'd you go? Technique to Trill. Where'd you go? Good morning, Purple. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Great. How old are you for TikTok purposes?
I'm 22.
Great. And what would you like to share this morning? Good morning, Rosalind.
Yeah, I wanted to share about the sixth sentence. Say the patriarchy is the problem, the matriarchy is the solution.
Yeah.
I don't see how. I do want to see your motivation as to why you say the matriarchy is the solution, because to my knowledge, I don't think there's any recording of any matriarchal societies that have been throughout human history, nor have there been any successful matriarchal societies throughout our human history.
Yeah,
so
no,
that's your motivation for that.
No, that's not. Well, because that's not historically accurate. So there are. So what I would offer to you is I would just say, look up some information about matriarchal societies, because they have existed for thousands of years and been incredibly successful as them. Hella, Raja. Good morning, Janice. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. So, I mean, just have you looked them up?
Look up what exactly?
Just what you just said. You like if you literally just type in successful matriarchal societies throughout history, like that's a great starting point, and then just go from there. I mean, you're 22, so you're not that long out of school, right? So there's I mean, like if I'm talking to some folks, they're like maybe not as internet savvy or whatever, but at 22, you're pretty internet savvy, right? So that's it. That's all you have to do is type it in. Just successful matriarchal societies throughout history. There's been many of them.
Okay. I was just saying, to my knowledge, that I wasn't making any general claims.
Right.
I
No.
just wanted
And
to
that's why
know
I'm
why.
saying. Right. And that's
Yeah, I
why,
just wanted to
yeah,
know
that's why I was
what I'm
saying all you got to do is if you just look it up, there have been a ton. And that's why I was asking, had you taken a look to see if there were any? Because they are there 100%.
Okay. What exactly do you think a patriarchy is?
Well, we live in patriarchal society that is pretty much a male dominated leadership that has a hierarchy or a ladder structure, predominantly. Those are the two main components in my mind.
I don't think we are in a patriarchal society, because I think patriarchal societies are tyrannical by definition. I don't think our society is tyrannical.
By whose definition?
The way I understand the word.
Right, but I mean, so that's what I was asking is where did you get that definition from?
Oh, I stipulated the definition.
Oh, okay, got it. Well, so maybe that's because you have created a definition that doesn't fit of what you think the conditions would be, right? But patriarchal society is literally men predominantly hold the power. They dominate the roles of political leadership, right? And they dominate the majority of the control of property, and that definitely is the United States of America. So it is a patriarchy.
Well, if you just limit to that, then sure. I think then yeah, America would be a patriarchy under that definition.
Well, that's the widely accepted definition of patriarchy.
Well, I think that's because a lot of people don't really look into how patriarchal systems are normally looked at. They're typically understood as tyrannical. The kind of
when you say typically understood by whom?
People that study societies.
Well, but you just but wait, you can't tell me that you study. But wait, you can't tell me that you study societies when you literally said that there's no record of successful matriarchal societies, right? So forgive me if you tell me on one hand you don't know of any successful matriarchal societies in the history of the world, but then on the other hand, people that study societies know that patriarchy equals tyrannical, right? That's your definition. That's your position. And so, I mean, you're entitled to that opinion, right? But the widely accepted, the basic understanding and the definition of patriarchy is exactly what I said.
I understand. I understand that. I just don't think just because most people accept it has some sort of truth towards it.
Well, it's not just that people accept it. It's that from an academic perspective, that is the definition.
I mean, that's just another consensus thing. Like, it's just because most people within that domain of academia accept that to be the definition.
No, that is across. So do you believe that we have dictionaries and accepted definitions for a reason? Yes or no?
We accepted definitions for a reason, yes.
Okay, great. And so when we have a consensus across different spectrums and different groups of people, including people that study societies, right? That's where this definition comes from.
Yeah, I'm saying it ultimately is just a consensus. It's just that most of them agree to this is how.
And such is society, though, right? So like we all have agreed that this is a marker, right? That we have a consensus that this is a marker. And if you say to me, well, I believe that a marker is a marker that scribbles on things, that can be your opinion, but that is not the definition of a marker. Right. And so your added definition of the actions that may or may not come along with patriarchy that can be your definition. It is not just the widely accepted mainstream definition on which society operates.
I mean, that's fine. Like I said, I don't think because most people accept a definition, it's true or anything.
Hey, Bert, good morning.
I want to see why you think the patriarchy is the problem. Because I just based upon the definition that there's just men predominantly in power and men predominantly own capital. It doesn't strike me that there is anything wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, and you don't have to think that there's anything wrong with that. My position is that patriarchy is absolutely the problem. And I base that off of the condition of the world that patriarchy has created, right? So this country is and has always been a patriarchal country and society. And in terms of measuring where we are as a country, we have an issue, right? So we are behind in most measurable things. Like the only thing that we lead in is, I don't know how much we spend on weapons and things like that. But when it comes to maternal mortality, infant mortality, when it comes to all of those different types of things, it doesn't happen. So yeah. So I mean, like you're entitled to that opinion, but for me, this is my deal. And I think I would wonder, because you said that we are not a patriarchal society, and now you're telling me that patriarchy isn't the problem. So if you don't believe that we're in a patriarchal society, how do you believe that patriarchy is not the problem? Because according to you, we're not in one.
Based upon because you're using a different definition than I am.
Right, but my point is,
if I was using my definition, it would absolutely be a problem because fundamentally, patriarchy is tyrannical, and if a structure is fundamentally tyrannical, what happens is that the structure will fall no matter what.
Well,
we're using your definition that doesn't have the tyrannical structure. You're just saying that men predominantly own capital.
So
men are predominantly in power. I'm saying, well, I don't see really anything wrong with that.
Right, and nobody said that you had to. You asked me what is the definition of patriarchy, right? So Black Glove, the reason is because I have folks in this space that have visual disabilities, and all caps are reserved for them. So you can either be respectful of people that have disabilities or you'll be booted from my space. It's entirely up to you. Don't type in all caps for a reason. I don't think that that's difficult to be respectful of people with disabilities. If it is for you, then this is not the space for you.
Okay, so, yeah, I just wanted to.
Hey, you guys, I know you're not talking to Enrique, whose ass is in here every day trolling. He's in here literally every damn day trolling. Don't talk to him. I already blocked him. Stop it. So here's the thing. Patriarchal society doesn't have to be tyrannical. Can it be? Yes. Is it often? Yes. Doesn't have to be though, which is why I didn't give it to you in the definition.
Well, the reason why I added the tyrannical structures because that's how often it is. That's how often it displays itself as something that is tyrannical. And now you're saying it's the problem, and you gave reasons that alluded to it being the problem, such as the infant mortality rate and other things plaguing the United States. But I don't see how that correlates to just simply because men own capital or men are predominantly in power.
I didn't say it was because men own capital. I gave you the extended definition of patriarchy, right? Which is men hold primarily the power. They dominate the roles of political leadership, and they control the majority of the property as well as having social privilege, right? And so all of those things combined together are pieces of what make up a patriarchy. Which that's a good point. Which was saying maybe you should just say that most tyrannical governments are patriarchal. That's a good. Thank you. Good clarity.
I'm fine with saying that.
Good morning, and Tom. What's up, Candy Kiss? Good morning, Viper. What?
I'm asking you, like, what's the correlation between your definition and then that of like infant mortality rates?
No. So what I said, and maybe we're just missing each other in communication. What I said is that when we look at men having had all of those positions in this country for the existence of this country, all 200 and almost 50 years of it, right? You would be looking at how successful are we as a country to determine whether or not our leadership is a problem. Okay. And so that is true, Marcy Joe, 100%. And so when you measure like different ways of measuring success, right, are how healthy your population is, and your mortality rates, and all of those different types of things. And so I was just giving you like a couple of examples of things that we measure, like how well we're doing as a society. And we tend to be behind in many of those areas, much of those areas around the world.
Well, ultimately, that it just depends upon what you consider standards of success for a country.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you consider to be the standards of success?
I don't really have that fleshed out, because there's a lot of things to consider.
Like what?
Looking at, you can look at the economy. You can look at the economy, the progressions of people's understanding of morals, their literacy.
Well, let's take morals, for example, because what do you think that morals is?
Morals are just these things that govern our actions as to whether they're right or wrong.
Yeah, babe. Good job, girl. Give me a high five. Okay, so morality is subjective.
Oh, I don't agree to that, but.
Well, I mean, I do, because, for example, I say the word fuck. Doesn't bother me. I don't think it's horrible. I don't think whatever. There are some people that believe that saying the word fuck is a sin, and you should repent. Yes, babe. Yeah. So morality is subjective.
I mean, people believe all sorts of things that wouldn't change the facts. Like, yeah. I can believe that 2 + 2 is 5. Obviously not assuming modular arithmetic,
but math and morality are not the same things.
What makes it different?
Yeah, give me 1 second. Here, let me help you. Sorry. There. You got it? Good. Okay, so because math is concrete and is based on science, morality is not. Math, there's just an answer. You might have several different ways to get to the same answer in math, but the answer is the answer. Morality is not.
Well, math isn't concrete. We don't see the number 2 floating anywhere. And
I didn't say it was concrete.
You did say, you said concrete.
Well, so here's what I mean. Okay. And I think you know what I mean. So I'm not sure if you just want to disagree. But math has an answer, a singular answer. And you might have several different ways to get to the answer, but the answer is the answer, right? And that is not the case with morality.
No, I think it's the exact same case of morality.
Well, you can think that, but if that were the case, we wouldn't have 50,000 different religions and thought processes about like what's right or what's wrong.
Well, disagreement will always be. It would be disagreement amongst mathematicians, even when there is a clear answer. That's present under math because they all disagree on the methodology to reach that answer. They still agree that there is an answer.
No, they agree on the answer. The disagreement is how to get to the answer, but the disagreement isn't in the answer.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Right, and that's exactly what I said. I said the answer is the same, even though you might have different ways of getting to the answer. And that's not true when it comes to morality.
Yeah, because you're saying there's disagreement. I'm saying the disagreement is just the methodology.
No, I'm
So
saying the
I don't think we
disagreement
have
is in the
answer.
outcome.
Which is the methodology.
No, it's
We
not.
don't know the answer.
No. Again, I'm talking
Well,
about the outcome.
Well, I don't. Look, this is a tangential conversation, so I don't really want to harp on this too much.
Great, because I don't either.
But yeah, so what's it called? Yeah, I would look at their morals and see how they've progressed when it comes to understanding things as what is right and what is wrong, and the safety of their what do they prioritize in terms of the safety of their citizens, and stuff like that. I think that's something to consider in terms of the success of a country. And yeah, but like I said, it's just a lot of things to look at when we're saying, what counts as a country being successful. And then also there's a conversation to be had as to, which standards should we prioritize when we're saying a country is successful.
Yeah. Well, so here's my thing. I don't think that morality is something that you govern or that you measure. I think that morality is personal. And I think what you measure from a societal perspective are the tangibles. So, are your people eating? Are your people educated? Are your people, do they have shelter? Are your people thriving? Are your people like having a livable wage? Like all of those different types of things. Those are the things that we measure from a societal perspective. Health, happiness. Like we have these types of things where we measure them already. They exist in the world, right? And so those are the things. Yeah. I'm not interested in measuring anybody else's morals to see do they meet some standard that I think that I have. Yeah, no, because then you get into people's faith, you get into people's religion, and those things have no place in government.
It depends on all those things, but I think
I don't believe it depends. It might depend for you. It doesn't depend for me.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm saying that
yeah.
Well, that doesn't seem to be true here because when we're looking at the kinds of laws and legislation we want to impose upon other people, we do consider the kinds of things they believe when it comes to morals. I think that if there was a group of people in the United States or a significant group of people in the United States that thought it was okay to eat other people because, their religion.
There are people that think that. Yes, I know, guys. I know about the Supreme Court case that just came down. I know. Okay, go ahead. What, Purple?
Yeah. So if there was just a significant amount of people that, that had their morals and beliefs that says, well, yeah, under our religion, it's permissible for us to eat other people.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is that sort of thing kind of puts unrest towards that of the other members of society, because it's like, well, what if they want to eat us? Will they do things, horrific things to us just to eat us, since we don't predominantly sell food of the humankind, stuff like that, since it's scarce. So then it's like now you have to consider the interest of the people of your society. Should we limit those kinds of morals, beliefs, and say those things are wrong?
Okay.
We should outlaw it, stuff like that. I think those kinds of things is what we do in that of like, passing legislation and policy, even in other domains like medical ethics as well.
So, okay, so a couple things. So in your example, in terms of cannibalism, right? Cannibalism is not illegal. It's not illegal. We don't legislate it. There's only, I think, one state in the country that has a specific law that specifically outlaws cannibalism. I think that you would be hard pressed if there was a society, for example, that existed within the United States of America, and as part of their religion, they agreed that when a member of that community dies, that the community is allowed to consume their remains. Then guess what? They're probably going to be allowed to do that because it coincides with their religious belief, their religious practice. No one is committing a crime to eat what the remains are. So again, that is your morality. And morality, like I said, is subjective, and you cannot successfully legislate morality. As a matter of fact, typically when we try to legislate morality, it ends up backfiring. A perfect example would be why we are 4 years since the Dobbs decision, And in the last 4 years, AB has increased every single year since the Dobbs decision. So typically, when you attempt to legislate morality, then you get the opposite response than what you were desiring.
I think, well, to that, I think there's a lot more reasons as to why that's happening. But yeah, I think the reason why it turns out to backfire, especially, we can say that of like us outlawing in the United States, outlawing, people's ability to drink, and what ended up happening is, the crimes went up, and people started to drink more. I think the reason why is because the way we go about handling these problems is not considering all the reasons or all the evidence at play. We kind of just make rash and hasty decisions because of our morals. So that I do agree with you on there that historically speaking, when we try to do that, we fail at times. But I think there are plenty of cases where we are successful, especially when it comes to our medical ethics. But yeah, all of this was just how I would understand, like, how I see whether a country is successful. Like I said before, it's a broad range of things, and I don't really have a select list of things I would look at. I know people do, but ultimately it's dependent upon each person and what they're looking at and what their prior beliefs are when it comes to what is a successful country. So that's what I do. Now the question is, like, maybe, like, do I think America is a successful country? I think in some regards yes, and in some regards no. Ultimately, I probably don't know, but it's I would say close to the line and not close enough.
And okay. I mean, so here's my thing. I don't argue people's opinions because everybody's entitled to have them. Like, if you believe that America is a successful country in some ways and not, you're entitled to have that opinion. Like, it doesn't, I don't know if you're used to debate places or whatever, but I don't debate people's opinions because everybody's entitled to that opinion, right? What I'm interested in are the facts and the underlying, like, actual, like, what is, not what you wish or what you think about what is. So, if you have an opinion, that's fine. I'm not going to argue with your opinion at all. There's no need for that for me, right? What I'm interested in are the actual concrete facts, how they operate in terms of legislation. How now, if your opinion, for example, if your opinion somehow impacted my rights or the rights of other people, I would have to talk to you about that opinion as to how it fits in society and inside of legislation. But you just having an opinion, that's fine. It's your opinion. Have at it. You know what I mean?
Well, no, that I would ultimately, I think my opinion would have bearing upon your rights and whatever, as you as a citizen in the United States, because I have the ability to vote. So
yeah.
That's why I would say, like, there are people that say, well, I don't want to debate opinions. Maybe I would probably agree with you if someone was, like, below the age of voting. But if they have the ability to vote, just marginalizing them because what they're saying is just opinionated is just really silly to me, because their opinions can be legislation.
Yeah. In what way did I marginalize you?
Well, in the way that you said, well, I'm not interested in debating opinions because, well, that's all I have. But I'm saying that just seems silly because my opinions can turn into legislation because I have the ability to vote.
No, your opinions can choose legislators, but your opinion doesn't.
The legislation I want.
So, well, kind of, sort of, right? But you're just one. And so for me, I'm more interested in the opinion of the legislator, not necessarily you. So, like, for me, if I'm going to take on someone's opinion, what I'm not going to attempt to do is take on the opinion of every person that could possibly vote for a particular legislator. I would rather take on that particular legislator regarding that opinion if they are attempting to do something that infringes upon my rights. Right? So, like, I'm not going to argue with you about what you believe morality is or isn't. Right? I'm more interested if a legislator is trying to weaponize their belief of morality into law in a way that impacts me.
But you already said that, like, I'm the one that influences the selecting.
I said you're the one who, right? Yeah, yeah. And so here's the thing. I'm not saying that. So let me be clear. I'm not saying that your opinion isn't valid or isn't important or isn't relevant. What I'm saying is that I'm not arguing with you over your opinion because, first of all, I haven't heard you express an opinion that would somehow negatively infringe upon anybody's rights. I haven't heard you do that. If you have an opinion about something that infringes on people's rights, then we can have that conversation maybe, depending upon what it is. But I have not heard you express one at all.
Well, because those kinds of opinions, although correlative to society, they're not really related to any of the prompts. So,
Okay.
So yeah, I do have to go though. It was a good conversation.
Yep. Have a great day.
Please take care of yourself. Yep.
So for those of you all who might be new to my space, and it's obvious that purple is new to my space, I am not a debate bro. I'm not a debate me bro, prove me wrong bro, whatever bro. I want to argue with you about the definition of what a woman is. Nope, not me. I am here to simply have meaningful conversations. Today, I have 6 different prompts up here in the background. If you want to speak about those particular topics, and maybe even something that's not, but that is actually related to everyone and not just like your personal opinion, then by all means request up. I'm down to do that. It's just I do a very fact-based. No, I mean, you can say, well, to my knowledge, there's no successful matriarchies. And my point is, well, then your knowledge is not sufficient enough. So if you just type in successful matriarchal societies throughout history, you will find a slew of them for you to check out. So it's just those types of things, right? And I also think when we start to say things like, oh, I don't really know what makes a country great or not great or whatever. What we know for sure is that we have tools in which we use to measure, right? We measure culture and tourism. We measure economic development. We measure governance. We measure health. We measure civic health. We measure infrastructure. We measure all of those different types of things when we are looking at countries, and we do that all the time. So that's not difficult to do. Terry, are you engaging with the trolls again? Why? Please stop doing that. I really do want you all to please stop engaging with the trolls. What is wrong with y'all today? Stay focused. Y'all are just being distracted. Stop it. Okay, so let me say this. Okay, so yes, the Supreme Court decision did come down. Yes, you can help it, and you will because you're grown. So listen, the Supreme Court did say that states can ban transgender individuals, and so that decision did come down. Let me see really quickly if I can give you the overall gist of it. They haven't put out the blurb yet. Let me see if I can give you so this was a court case revolving West Virginia. What's up, Frozo? And they are holding that schools can maintain female sports specifically for biological females, consistent when they're saying that this doesn't violate Title IX. Right, Scotty. Appreciate that, Frozo. So states can ban trans athletes from participating in sports according to the Supreme Court decision. I'm not sure yet, Blue Honey Pod. And let me just say this. There's nothing about this decision that surprises me. I expected this to be the decision. This doesn't surprise me. I don't feel like it should surprise anybody else. You know what I mean? Like I just don't. And so this is where I think that people ought to really be able to understand the significance and the importance of the federal government. Um, and the power that we have when we appoint judiciaries. And so, what I would say to every single person that has a trans individual in your life or in your community in any way, shape, or form, or if you simply care about equity for transgender individuals, then this should be motivation to get your shit together. And in the next 126 days, vote in a way that changes things. How about that? That's what I would. That's what I would offer you. Okay. Right. 100%. Good morning, James. How are you? Me either. James, did you mean to request
Hello.
up? Good morning. How are you?
Yes. How's it going?
It's going well. What's up?
Listen, I just heard content that when have you ever heard something and then your mind finally got say, "I got it," and okay, and what I mean by that is, for the longest, my parents helped me to have the mindset to be independent and to work hard and to gain the prosperity that I have. Prior to that, though, I thought, well, slavery was bad, and at some point we have to overcome, irregardless of what happened to us in our history. But this girl put the content in Monopoly, and she said, okay, how about we playing against whites in Monopoly? And for 200 plus years, we didn't get to have any money. We didn't get to roll the dice. We didn't get to do any of that. And then 50 years after that, they burned out the money we could get, and they took advantage of us through laws.
Mm-hmm.
That helped me to recognize the benefit of how far I could be if my forefathers were able to have left me a dime.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Before I got to my parents, how far along I would be financially if I would reap the benefits of my forefathers' hard work.
Mm-hmm.
So my forefathers' hard work didn't start until my grandparents.
Right.
So I couldn't reap any benefits of what my family did prior to my grandparents. And so it finally makes sense to me that the DEI or affirmative action was an attempt to correct that, and we're owed that. That wasn't a gift. That was a debt that was partially being paid by preferences. Even if you were allowed those to be called preferences. And so I just, sometimes a light bulb comes on, even if you're aware of a situation and you want to get beyond it. There's no reason for us to get beyond that fact that people reaped the financial benefit of us working for free,
Mm-hmm.
and then the financial benefit of taking advantage of the little bit they gave or allowed us to have, with the ability to take it away at any point.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in all honesty, I don't believe we'll ever get the full value of what we have put in, but it's understandable that there be some allowances to give us an upper hand through DEI and affirmative action.
So I think that A couple of things. So number one, I'm glad that you heard it in a way that allowed you to have like a light bulb moment. So like I love that, right? And at the very same time, I want to make a couple of distinctions. Okay. So, yes, there was a definitive head start. We know that. We know that after the Reconstruction Acts, there was a period of growth and affluence and expansion for Black and Brown people in this country. We know that the response to that growth, to that advancement, was attack. Right? We know that there are Black communities across this country that are underwater with man-made lakes, man-made bodies of water to put them underground. Right? Good morning, Sean. We know that there was an effort to burn down our communities. They either burn them down or drown them, whichever one, right? So we understand that. So I want you to just follow me. You have a massive head start. Then, when there's the opportunity for Black and Brown people in this country to advance themselves, you have a reset, right? Like a level set, just like a significant obliteration, right? Right. Built freeways through them, all the things. Yep, Veronica, right? And then I want you to also think about while those things are happening simultaneously, right, there is the creation of this infrastructure and these systems that continually perpetuate the problems. And they do it, gotcha, Frozo, and they do it in a way that is just part of the scenery. It's a way that you just don't see, right? Because it's happening behind the scenes. It's ingrained in the paperwork. It's coded in this language. It is the long Southern strategy that not only helps politicians in a particular way, but at the same time continues the disenfranchisement of a particular group of people. And that is what we still endure. And people don't want to acknowledge that it is still being practiced, because then what does it say about us as a society that it still exists? What does it say about white people that it is still necessary? And that is a conversation that people don't want to have. But it's exactly one of the conversations that we need to have. It's the same conversation as it applies to men with regard to women. It is the same conversation about why the need to disenfranchise and to discriminate against a particular group of people in order to maintain a position of power, right? And what you believe to be power over them and in this society. And so that is one of the things that we need to be considering. But we have to still say, and this is the only thing, is that I want you to still understand, James, is that put it this way. If let's just say after 50 years, you can finally roll the dice in Monopoly. But if I have already bought up the majority of the real estate, not only can you not buy it for yourself, but every time you land on my properties, you got to pay me something.
Exactly.
That is the impact of the racial history of this country. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And though I don't believe in my lifetime reparations will ever come, there should be some type of governing lawmaking or that allows for some type of catch up. And I shouldn't feel guilty about that. And that's what I'm saying. Maybe we are not supposed, or maybe they're unable to cut a check, but there should be some allowances for the fact that happened, so that there is this pull yourself up by your bootstrap foolishness is dismissed, when you need to at least give us some boots and some straps.
Yeah. And here's the thing. So I'm always careful to not say about what I do or don't think I will or won't see in this lifetime. Because I don't like to speak things that I don't desire to create, right? So that's just me. In addition to that, when we talk about restitution, because that's what you're talking about, right? Restoration, restitution. it happens in different ways. And I want to be clear about something, folks. DEIA is not reparations, restitution, any of that. No, it's not. DEIA has nothing to do with giving people of color any additional access to or whatever. That's not. DEIA is simply the training and the education of people and corporations to understand the benefits of diversity and to know what is or isn't appropriate. There was a world in which when I grew up, right, it's not a one up. And when I was growing up, like y'all, we use the R word. Do y'all know the word I'm talking about? It's a word that starts with an R and is in reference to mental acuity, mental development, right? When I was growing up, people used that word. We now understand it's not an appropriate word to use, right? We understand that we don't use words that devalue, that belittle, that dehumanize, all of those different types of things. We understand and we learn what microaggressions are and macroaggressions are, and we understand how things should or should not be said anymore, right? Yeah, and a lot of people still use it, and it's crazy to me, right? And it's really important. Hatem, it's not time yet. Can somebody please put in Arabic in the chat that the Pali panel will not be until 2 hours from now? Seriously. And spamming the comments doesn't help. So it's really important that we don't mistake DEIA for reserving a certain percentage of your employees or your students to be of a particular race or ethnicity. That's not what DEIA is. It's not, right? Nor is affirmative action. Let me ask you a question. How many of you all have actually read the executive order that was written by JFK for affirmative action? How many of you guys have ever actually read it? Put a 1 in the chat. Not a lot of people, it looks like. Okay, so whoops. So the executive order is, if I'm not mistaken, it is Executive Order 11246, but let me just make sure. Yeah. All right. So let's take a look at it. There's that one. And let me see if this is the other one I want. Yes. All right. I got you. Executive Order 10925. Okay. No, you didn't bother me. It's fine. All right. So listen. So, so Executive Order 10925 was signed by JFK. It was done by John F. Kennedy, March 6th of 1961. Okay. And here's what it says. Whereas discrimination because of race, creed, color, or national origin is contrary to the constitutional principles and policies of the United States and 13 CFR 1960 supplement. Whereas it is the plain and positive obligation of the United States government to promote and ensure equal opportunity for all qualified persons. I just want to pause for a moment there. Hey, sissy, this is yours, by the way. So listen, he did not say for everybody. He said literally for all qualified persons. So this rhetoric that this is about the advancement of people for people that aren't qualified is bullshit, and it's just racism. Literally, it's just racist ideology, racist language to try to indicate that somehow being Black or brown is somehow indicative of a lack of mental whatever. Hold on a second. I got it. Birthright citizen, children born in the United States to parents unlawfully or temporarily present are subject to the jurisdiction of the United States and are citizens at birth under the 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause. I'm going to the ruling. All right, so I'm going to read it. Listen. Held. Children born in the United States to parents unlawfully or temporarily present are, quote, subject to the jurisdiction, quote unquote, subject to the jurisdiction of the United States and are citizens at birth under the 14th Amendment's Citizenship Clause. The Citizenship Clause must be understood in light of its historical context from the English Common Law version, Under the English common law, children, quote unquote, born within the sovereign's dominions owed a natural allegiance to the sovereign who protected them at birth. And then they give this outline. I'm scrolling. Just give me a second, you all.
That's the ruling for today?
Yes, that is the ruling for today. So give me a second. Give me 1 second. I'm reading something really quickly. I'm sorry, honey. So I'm getting, hold on. Just give me a second, y'all. Give me a second. Yeah, they upheld birthright citizenship. I'm getting really emotional. Whew. They upheld birthright citizenship. I need to finish reading it because even Justice Roberts, I was reading Roberts's words, which is what got me upset. Not upset in a bad way, but in a good way, because like these words. So just listen to what he says. In all other respects, however, the sovereign's power and his claim to the people's allegiance was complete. There is nothing missing. There is nothing broken. And then he says, a foreign mother could enter the British Isles, give birth, and leave with her child the very next day, and that child would remain a British subject. Why? Because the child owed an implied allegiance to the sovereign who protected him at his birth, no matter how momentary and uncertain his presence in the king's realm. Even Roberts came down.
It's amazing how they can get this so right and gets other things so wrong.
Well, so because there's this limit, and I have said this for a minute, right? So listen, the Supreme Court justices that we have, right, Terry, it's deep. So the Supreme Court that we have is absolutely fine with doing some of the racist things and misogynistic things, right? That is desired within the culture wars. And there are some things from a constitutional perspective they are not willing to undo. And I think that birthright is one of them. Okay, so I want you to bite this because you like it. I promise. Bella already had hers. Try it. I promise. Okay, we'll take it with you. Yeah, this is good news. Which, to be frank, I expected this. If you remember when they heard the cases, right? When they heard the case, if you remember, love that, be so for real. When they heard the arguments, do you remember that Trump was there? Do you remember that Trump went, the president went to sit in the court when they were hearing the arguments about birthright citizenship? And if you remember, he was fucking furious when he left. He was attacking them on Truth Social that day. Do y'all remember? He was not happy. I pretty much knew then they were going to rule the way that they are ruling right now in this moment. Okay. Yeah. 100% growling at them. And I can promise you, after E. Jean Carroll yesterday And this bullshit today, there's ketchup and mustard and mayo everywhere, right? Yes, Candy Kiss trying to intimidate. And so you no longer have to worry about your little son. Well, you would not have had to anyway, Lucid. So let me just explain. Even if this had gone a different way, it would not have been retroactive. Okay. It would have been from that moment going forward. But just so everyone is clear, birthright citizenship has been upheld in the United States of America. And that's pretty awesome. So what happened with E. Jean Carroll yesterday? He wanted the Supreme Court to throw out the $5 million judgment, and the Supreme Court said no. The Supreme Court said, no, we're not. And this is the other thing so I want you all to understand that when people say, oh, well, there's no evidence, she was a liar, she was a this, she was a that. Listen, she was absolutely telling the truth. And he was found liable for doing the things. Yes. Someone on SCOTUS voted against what? Oh, I don't know. Deuces Wild. I haven't looked at that. Hold on a second, you all, and I'll take a look. So for me, the only reason that I even care who voted against would be when it comes time to remove them from the Supreme Court. That's it. I just that's it for me. That's the only interest that I have. So let me just look real quick. So let me go all the way down to the bottom of the decision. Thomas dissented. Clarence Thomas dissented, which no one should be surprised by his Stephen from Django's ass. Alito dissented. No one should be surprised by that. Let me look real quick. Who else? Gorsuch dissented. So Gorsuch, Alito, Thomas, they all dissented. And let me see if there was anybody else. Give me a second. I'm looking real quick because I'm literally looking at the document itself, not for somebody's little number thing. I just want to see. Let's see.
Dissent means not to vote, right?
Huh?
Dissent means you didn't vote.
No, dissent means I disagree with the decision.
Oh, you disagree. Okay, disagree. Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to wonder, why would you just dissent? Okay.
No, they are dissenting because they disagree. They voted against.
So what was the number?
Well, I'm making sure who all I have. I have Thomas, Alito, and Gorsuch who dissented so far, and I'm seeing if anybody else dissented before Thomas as I scroll. Thomas's dissent is long as hell.
Ridiculous.
I mean,
Engines will never change.
Because, come on, y'all. Harlan got Thomas hooked.
He seems like he's bought and paid for.
Well, that's Harlan. That's who I mean, Harlan Crow. So, yeah. So those are the dissents. Justice Thomas, Gorsuch, and Alito, all dissents. So of course, so Kavanaugh is gave his opinion, and he says that while the executive order doesn't violate the 14th Amendment, it does violate 8 USC 1401A. And so he basically then tells Congress what to do. He tells Congress that if Congress changes that piece of legislation, then this executive order could go forward. So he's basically telling them this is how you could still do this in the future if you wanted to, which is why people must fucking win the midterms. This is why. So listen, this is what Kavanaugh has done. Kavanaugh has said, hey, Congress, if you want us to be able to overturn birthright citizenship, this is the law that you need to go modify and change. Okay. And so this is why it is incredibly important for progressives to have the majority in the House and in the Senate.
So it was 6-3?
Yeah. Yeah, it was 6-3. Yep, it was 6-3.
That's amazing. I'm glad. I mean, see, one of the things people don't recognize is you can be for people who are at a disadvantage, even though it doesn't affect you. I care about people outside of myself. And if babies and people are born here, they ought to be Americans. And that has nothing to do with me, doesn't impact me, but it's because I believe it's just your right at birth. Even if you know, that's why I couldn't even understand all that hoo-ha about Barack Obama. No matter where he was born to an American mother. So therefore, he had American rights. So it's something.
I mean, it does matter if he's born in a foreign country. It does, because only because of the Constitution, right? It's why Zoran Mom Dani.
If you're born to American parents, like if you were overseas because you were in the service.
Yeah, my brother was.
I was born. You're an American.
Yeah. So, well, and so, but yeah, and so you can have dual citizenship. There are members of Congress that do, but typically, you know, I would have to look at the wording of the Constitution, but you have to understand that, hold on, you guys. So listen, you have to understand that birtherism is nothing new. Birtherism was not about whether or not Barack Obama could be the president of the United States or if he was a U.S. citizen. It was literally, this is a black man. He's not American, period. And so that's what that was about. And that's just part of the, it's just part of the long Southern strategy. So Anthony, I'm going to invite you to come up to the panel. See this request box, and I sent you an invite. So I'm gonna invite you to come to the panel because you are you're just chatting a lot and putting things that aren't accurate in the chat, and so we have to address those. And I want to give you the opportunity for me to address those before you get muted. Oh, did you hear me, Cam? Before you get muted. Because this is the way. What's up, Aimlani? So, yeah, red hot, maybe, but probably not today. I got a lot to get through, and so that might be something that we dig into later. Plus, I would want to pull the cases because I haven't pulled any of the cases, and that's important before I talk about it. I want to be able to read what the cases were, and all of that. Okay, so yeah, no, 100%, Veronica. So, if in my humble ass opinion, okay, if I were, and I'm not, but if I were working for the Democratic Party, I would 100% be using Kavanaugh's opinion to motivate people for the midterms. That outlining, that direction, that instruction for Congress, I would be using that for the midterms. The same way I would be using AIPAC's memo on the MOU. Yes, babe. Yeah. So listen, the fact that AIPAC put out their own memo instructing our Congress what they need to do regarding that memorandum of understanding when it comes to the United States of America and Iran, that's a big deal, right? I would be using every bit of that for the midterms. I read it here, Deuces Wild, and I believe I put it in my link tree. Right, but the fact that we have this this political action committee that is operating in the best interest of a foreign government, putting out a whole ass memo telling our Congress what it needs to do is wild to me, and it should be something that that the Democratic Party and that progressives are screaming from the rooftops, because people that are part of MAGA and even those on the very far right do not like this whole Israel first movement, this whole Israel first initiative. And I'm telling you, that is the wedge that is within the Republican Party right now that I would be taking a crowbar to and just prying that bitch wide open. I would be prying that bitch wide open, because there is a direct disconnect between America first and Israel first. And if the Democratic Party wasn't so damn compromised by Israel themselves, they would be capitalizing on this moment. Just saying. What's up, Candy Kiss? So just offering that to you guys. So for those of y'all that are just now joining, birthright citizenship has been upheld by the Supreme Court. The vote was 6-3. The usual suspects dissenting, which is Thomas, Alito, and Gorsuch. And I don't think that we're surprised by that. What's up, Kimmy J? Right? The note that is the note that needs to be paid attention to. All right, first, the note that needs to be paid attention to is Brett Kavanaugh's instruction at the end of his opinion, which tells Congress what law they need to modify in order to allow the court at a later date to overturn birthright citizenship. And it should be that instruction, that path that has been laid out by Brett Kavanaugh, that the Democratic Party uses to motivate people to the midterms. Because if I'm Congress, one of the things that's on my agenda when I have a progressive majority in the House and in the Senate, right? Yes, baby. Yeah, of course. My little artists are painting. Right. Forever resist. And so, but the other thing that I think about this, I didn't see Barrett dissented. Did I miss it? It's possible. It's a long ass document. So listen, let me just give it to you. Roberts. So Justice Roberts, Sotomayor, Kagan, Barrett, and Jackson all gave opinions, which so did Sotomayor. They all joined in that opinion. Kavanaugh filed an opinion concurring in the judgment and then dissenting in part, which is what I read to you. So no, Amy Coney Barrett also was on board with this. So the justices that voted to uphold birthright citizenship were Roberts, Sotomayor, Kagan, Barrett, Jackson, and Kavanaugh. And then Kavanaugh gave a dissenting part with a pathway on how they could overturn it in the future. Okay? So it was Thomas, Gorsuch, and Alito filed dissenting opinions. Right, the usual suspects, which is why, let me say this again. So folks, if you don't get this, this is why having the majority in the House and in the Senate is the pathway forward. Because not only can you shore up, so that little thing, that little part where Barrett said, where Kavanaugh said, oh, just change this and then we can overturn it in the future. That's what you have Congress shore the fuck up. That's what you have Congress close the loopholes on, right? And then that is what you use when you go ahead and you remove Alito, Thomas, and especially Alito and Thomas from the court. I'm just literally, folks, That's the path forward. Okay. All right. So really quickly, I'm going to open up the panel. Frozo, I'm going to come back to you just because I want to get the U.S. Opinions and interjections, having just gotten the Supreme Court decision that we did. I know it is not Frodo, it's Frozo. All right, Rob, the reflecting pool. Good morning. How are you?
Hi, good morning, Dani. Thanks for having me up.
Yeah.
So this was an interesting opinion. I just wanted to add that Gorsuch's position was that the holding is too broad because they're potentially different. There could be something. It includes, for example, temporary visitors having children. So he would have it was challenged facially. So the entire statute was facially challenged. And Gorsuch's position was it depends on who it's being applied to. So he made clear that if it's applied to, originally this came up as a class action in the district court, and the class actions included a wide range of different people in different situations. And so Gorsuch seems to think that for some of them, it could be constitutional that they would have that the child would be entitled to birthright citizenship, and for others it isn't. And so that's the only reason he dissented. So as far as the kind of quote unquote illegal immigrant situation that we're thinking about, it seems like Gorsuch would be with the majority if that were the hypothetical. It's just because of the procedural way that it came up, he wasn't on that side. And then what was it? Kavanaugh, as you said, basically would try to limit the case to the statutory grounds. So generally, judges try to limit something as tightly as possible to the facts of the case and the minimum amount of legal grounds required. And that's because courts can't issue advisory opinions. That's because the Constitution says that the federal judiciary has to decide, quote, cases and controversies. So if there isn't a case or controversy, they're not supposed to decide it. And so generally there's this practice that judges will try to rule on the narrowest possible grounds. However, that said, judges kind of like play games a little in terms of like sometimes ruling more broadly if they want a particular policy outcome. And they're very selective about when they kind of invoke that and how broadly they rule. So that's Kavanaugh's position. So Kavanaugh still would have the same outcome. It would just be based on the statute. And like you said, he gives a roadmap for how Congress could then overcome that if the majority had gone with Kavanaugh, which it didn't.
Right. 100%. Yeah. Thank you, Rob, for joining in. Rob, y'all love his name. Y'all are hilarious. I appreciate you, Rob. L.A. Jones, you want to jump in here? Did you have something to say? L.A., do you know you're on the panel, my dear? I don't think so.
Now, what does that do for DACA?
DACA? Nothing. People? I mean, it just preserves it. I mean, it protects them the same way. But it doesn't give them a pathway to citizenship. It doesn't change anything fundamentally in like how they currently exist. It just means, and it wouldn't have impacted them in like past DACA anyway, because it would have been, it doesn't do anything for DACA.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. A couple of things that I want to make sure that I finish doing. So what I was doing prior, I'm trying to remember what was I doing when that came down. So I was making a couple of distinctions. Okay. And so there were many of you who had never ever even read Executive Order 109. Oh, I'm so glad that he asks questions. James is great about asking questions. Executive Order 10925. And this was the commitment to equal employment opportunity, right? Right. DACA, brought here, not born here. And everybody's chiming in the chat. No, temporary protected status is a specific immigration law. And DACA, not everybody that is necessarily DACA falls under that. And this was a specific case regarding Haitians and I want to say Syrians, Haitians and Syrians. Rob, do you know what I'm talking about? That particular case?
It was Haitians and Syrians. Yes,
that's what I thought.
I think Mullen v. something.
Yes. Yep. And so, so it doesn't have to do, it didn't have anything to do with DACA. Okay. Right. Yeah. So yeah, you're welcome. So folks, this is the thing about immigration is it is really, really complex. Like refugee status is different than asylum status, is different than cat status, is different than temporary protected status, is different than whatever. Oh, that's super cute, sissy. And so, oh, hold on. I want to know how this person knows this. This is someone that I super duper trust. And this person just put something in a group chat that I'm in that I want to know how they know this, because if this is like, you see, I'm so excited. I just got a little tongue twisted, but oh my God, I will not be. So let me just see. Hold on. I just want to see if they got something, because they're in DC. But I just want to check. What makes you think? Oh shit. Uh-oh. So let me be clear when I say this. I know I have the worst poker face. My face be facing, y'all. My face be facing. Um, I'm going to wait to see his reply before I say this, because I want to know why he thinks that, and if I missed something somewhere, because holy shit. And it would be horrible. So listen, let me just say this to you. Would pinch you lightly to fix your face. Yeah, my face is just, it is what it is. So, what? His life girl, what would make you ask that question? Yeah, my emotions are like, so, well, here's the thing. Okay. Okay. Just got an update that said false info. Okay, great. So now that I know that it wasn't accurate, I can now tell you what it was. Okay. So, it was said that Alito is retiring. And at first, I was about to be like, oh, great. And then I was like, oh, shit, no. Because if Alito retires now before there is a Democratic majority in the Senate, then that would mean we're all fucked, because they could appoint a younger, more conservative judge. And then this person came back and said, no, false information. Now, here's my thing. What I think is false information means somebody thought that that was going to be the case. Someone got info, someone got a heads up that that was going to happen. And either that person ran with it and shouldn't have, or that person ran with it and right, it's probably coming. Yep. I'm leaning towards, yes, someone could be. Yep, AP, NPR, everybody said it, and now people are saying no, it's not true. And so, yep. So listen, here's my thing is we knew that this was going to be a possibility, right? It's hard to imagine. Well, my whole thing is I just mean worse, as in more years left. Rob.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I just mean. I just mean more years left.
Yeah, I agree. It's basically with Trump 100%. So I'm really racking my brain trying to think of a hypothetical where he would be worse. I'm struggling. That's how bad.
Yeah. No, it's just literally more years left.
Yeah, it's kind of telling he wasn't appointed by Trump, right? It's almost like the worst. Trump appointments are actually not as bad as the earlier ones.
But I think that that's almost, though, a sign of the times that we're in, right? Because I don't know that you will find someone that's in this day and age, unless they are. And I don't know that kind of person could make it through the Senate confirmation hearings.
Right. And I think probably that's also not true at the lower court levels. I think at district court and appeals court levels, the Trump appointments are worse than the Bush and earlier appointments.
Listen, for me, Emile Bovee,
Yes,
Bovee,
right,
like
exactly.
that appointment is like one of the worst people possible ever. And you can bet your ass that they intend to have him maneuver his way to the Supreme Court.
Yep.
You can bet your ass. And he is one of the most corrupt judges on the planet. And there's enough evidence to absolutely impeach and remove him as a judge. 100%.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm getting more. Now it looks like Nina Totenberg, who reported it, got it wrong. Ooh, wee shit. That would be a bad thing for if like, because that could be like the end of her. Wow. Crazy work. Okay. So, y'all, Clarence ain't never had no black card. Black skin does not mean black card. Yeah, NPR retracted the story. They sure did. And so part of me, I think about things like this, and part of me goes, was it a setup? Is somebody testing the waters? Are they like seeing what their reaction would or wouldn't be? Like, you just don't know. And unfortunately, that is the world that we live in, right? What's going on? For the most part, we are disgusted by the Supreme Court upholding that states can ban transgender athletes and transgender individuals from bathrooms. And then we are extremely happy that the Supreme Court upheld birthright citizenship. Yeah. So that's where we are. Do you need help, baby? What you looking for? No. Oh, yeah, you can use that one. So that's where we're at. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. Yes, baby love. Oh, here. Hold on. Let me help her real quick, y'all. Baby, where's the one with the paintbrushes? Do you already have the glass? This one. Yeah. Use this. Or you want two? Two. Yeah, because you don't want to share with your sister. I got it. I got it, girl. Here you go.
I actually just like.
Yeah. Okay, here. You can use this one. Okay, listen. And right there are the palettes for both of you. Remember, hey, both of you need to be careful how much paint you use. Okay? Because we don't want to waste paint. All right. Okay, so I'm back. Okay, so before this, let me share with you all where we are. What did you miss? A whole hell of a lot, Jody. So the ruling on transgender individuals is that the Supreme Court upheld that states have the right to ban transgender athletes in sports, and that it does not violate Title IX. Thank you, Raja.
And doesn't violate the Equal Protection Clause, they said.
Right. It doesn't violate equal protection, and that's where we're at. And then they upheld birthright citizenship. I think birthright was the last major decision that we were waiting for, right, Rob?
I think so. Can't think of another one.
I can't think.
I think
Let me ask you a question.
4 or 6-3 or 7-2, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question related to transgender?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the people who have completely made the change, meaning medically and everything, that they're now women? Is that, or just the people who now change their thoughts? I guess I'm.
Dayglow, he didn't retire. They retracted that story. So no, James, it's not. You don't have to have fully transitioned. Mm-mm.
Okay, so if you fully transition, you can go in the bathroom.
Well, so this was specifically about sports.
Okay.
Yeah, this was about transgender athletes. Which is crazy because we've had transgender athletes for forever. For forever, by the way, y'all. In the Olympics and everything. So, for years. If you've never looked at it, I'm just saying it's been a thing for forever. Okay, so I want to still go back And did I tell you what you missed, Jody? Transgender athletes, states can still ban transgender athletes according to the Supreme Court. Birthright citizenship has been upheld according to the Supreme Court. Those are the main two things for today. Okay. Right, Sarah. And they don't necessarily, some of them don't transition at all, like literally. And so, like, I think that this is the thing. So transgender does not mean necessarily that people want to change their physical anatomy. They just transition socially. And I'm going to recommend, so there's a creator on TikTok whose name is Defense Trans Lanny, and she is they are incredible in terms of providing information and clarity. And here's what I love the most. James, someone like you would benefit tremendously from sitting in her space. I do when I sit in her space, because when they allow you to ask any questions without taking offense. They're also a veteran, and they do a fantastic job of breaking it down from a medical perspective, just like all of the differences. And there's no judgment, there's no hostility, there's no arguing. She just maintains a very like solid space. And so Defense Trans, very calm. There you go. Sarah's got it. An absolute wealth of knowledge. And like I said, also a veteran. And just so that you know, her pronouns are she, they. So either one is okay. Okay. Extremely good at educating. Definitely Cheryl, right? Okay. So just thought I would give you all that. So that's a great space to go in if you have questions around trans individuals. Okay. Great space to go do that in. I am checking the chat and I don't know that I have anything left. Kat, did you know that you requested up? Guess not. Okay. All right. Morning, Steph. Morning, everybody. All right. So let's keep going. Nope. Another cat with a K. I said with a K. I don't know what I was about to do with a K. Okay. So what I was doing before is I wanted to just provide clarity, folks, for folks that maybe have never read it or aren't aware, so that we can get some lines around what affirmative action is, what it never was, and the same thing with DEIA. Okay. And I know we say DEI because that's what we referenced it with for such a long time, but it's actually DEIA. The A stands for access, right? And so it's diversity. Nope, another cat. So it was diversity, equity, inclusion, and access. Those are the four. That's what it stands for. Okay. So here we go. What I was doing before that birthright decision came in is fuck my life. I cannot stand y'all. Hold on a second. I just need to check out this other ruling. So the FECA, which is the Federal Election Commission's political party coordinated expenditure limits, violate the First Amendment. So there was an effort to limit expenditure limits, and they are saying, so let me just read you a little bit. It says the court has jurisdiction under Article 3. At the outset of the litigation, at least one of the plaintiffs, then candidate for Senate, J.D. Vance, undisputedly had standing. Vice President Vance still maintains an active quote-unquote statement of candidacy on file with the FEC, indicating his intent to run for Senate in 2028. Did y'all hear me say that? Listen. The court has jurisdiction under Article 3. At the outset of the litigation, at least one of the plaintiffs, then candidate for Senate, J.D. Vance, undisputedly had standing. Vice President Vance still maintains an active quote-unquote statement of candidacy on file with the FEC indicating his intent to run for Senate in 2028, as well as a campaign committee that has raised money for a Senate race, establishing that this dispute is justiciable. Justiciable? Ugh. That didn't come out of my tongue right. Anyway, B, the First Amendment provides that, quote, Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. This court has determined that political parties, as well as candidates, private individuals, and outside groups may make unlimited independent expenditures during political campaigns. This case concerns FICA's limits on spending by political party in coordination with candidates. And that part's important, right? Yeah, it does. So number one, the FECA limits political party coordinated expenditures. The limits impair the party's traditional forms of communication, such as advertisements, preclude parties from amplifying the voice of their adherents, impose additional monetary costs and burdens on political parties, and inflict a quote unquote stifling effect on the ability of the party to do what it exists to do. Two, statutory limits. Statutory limits on contributions to candidates or parties are subject to quote unquote closely drawn scrutiny. To satisfy that standard of regulation may not be disproportionate and must be necessary and narrowly tailored to its asserted goal. The court must assess, number one, the government's asserted interest in imposing the limits at issue. Number two, the fit between the limits and the government's asserted interest. And then three, to analyze the FCA's limits on, that's just 1 and 2, sorry. And then the political party coordinated expenditure limits fails to satisfy the closely drawn test. So to analyze the FECA's limits on political party coordinated expenditures, the court must first assess, and I'm not reading this whole fucking thing. Oh my God. I thought they were just going to give it to me. So let me get to the end. Kavanaugh delivered the opinion. Roberts, Thomas, Alito, Gorsuch, and Barrett all joined. So this is straight party line kind of deal. And then Kagan, Sotomayor, and Jackson dissented. So this is more of unlimited spending in campaigns in this particular court case. This is not a national thing. It was very specific for the FECA. Where y'all at? Okay. Okay, I just saw that, and so I wanted to make sure that I snipped that in there. Again, this is why progressives need control of the House and the Senate so that we can codify legislation that gets rid of the impact of Citizens United on our elections. Period. Appreciate it, Terry. Okay. I cannot stress that enough. But okay, so listen, go ahead. James, were you going to say something?
No, I mean, are you saying that he can hold a place or run for Senate as he is the vice president?
He can run for Senate in 2028. Yeah. If he's not running for president, yeah.
If he's not running for president.
Right. He can't run for both at the same time.
He can't do both of them simultaneously.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Right. Okay.
And so he's just keeping his options on the table because he has not removed his filings and his potential candidacy. He hasn't removed that. Now, in my opinion, and this is going to be my personal opinion, full ass assumption on my part. You hear that disclaimer, y'all? This is a full ass opinion assumption on my part. I believe one of the reasons that information stayed there up until now is because of this court case. If he had pulled his paperwork that said he intended to run for 2028, then he would have no longer had standing for this court case. And then they would not have been able to get this decision on the books. Okay. So he'll probably pull that stuff now. Okay. But appreciate it, Rob. My opinion is that information stayed there because that is the only way they had standing to get this ruling. So They play the system. They work the system very, very well. And a lot of people should learn how to do the same. Just saying. But for good. All right. So I don't even know that so much time has passed now. I don't know that I'm going to go back and read the difference between these two things because they don't apply anymore. But anyway, I'm just going to keep moving at this point. Which one of the judges is retiring? No one, Maryland. So it was reported that Alito was retiring. It was then retracted and stated that he was not retiring. And so that's that. Somebody apparently got it wrong.
So who's the oldest right now?
I don't know. And here's my answer. Whoever it is, they're not old enough.
It's Thomas.
Okay.
Is it Thomas?
Yeah. He looks, I admit, I dislike him intensely, but he looks good for his.
Because it don't crack.
Right.
The man makes my skin crawl.
If anybody deserves to be impeached, he is one.
Yeah, I cannot stand him. I'm just saying, I can't stand that man. And he really does remind me of like a slightly inflated Steven from Django.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying. Yeah, no, he's horrible. And let me just say this, you all, they are absolutely terrified. If you all did not hear what Mike Johnson said when he was reading the from the DSA's website, and he was talking about, oh my gosh, they're saying the quiet parts out loud, and I can't believe they put this in writing, which is how many of us felt when we read Project 2025, right? They are terrified. No. And they should be. And no, I don't play them people. I very rarely play those people. I don't amplify their fuckery. But let me just say, listen, real talk. When we talk about what is necessary moving forward, it is to 100% keep the pressure on the Democratic Party. They must be held accountable. And we have to maintain a progressive / Democratic majority in the House and the Senate, which means there will be some Democrats that stay in office that you don't particularly care for because you can't get rid of everybody all at once. And so you deal with what you got until you create what you want. Okay? If your roof is caving in and you got a rotten ass beam, right? You don't pull the beam out and let the roof collapse. Nope. You leave that beam there until you get an adequate replacement. Period. So I really need to hone that. I need to, kind of drill that in for people so that you understand we're not doing dumb shit. We're going to be very strategic. Fetterman's not even up for election this year, Cravey. Okay? Fetterman's not even up for election, not even on the ballot, nothing you can do about it until 2028. So what do you need to do between now and 2028? If you're in his district, right? Yeah, Sapper. If you are in his district, you need to be finding the most fantastic, charismatic, authentic, intelligent, people-oriented, populist-oriented individual to primary the fuck out of Fetterman. That is the work that needs to be done right now in preparation for next year and 2028. Just saying. Okay. So in case anybody is confused about that, she does have a wealth of knowledge, Gumps, 100%. Yeah, listen, to me, switching parties, we'll just see. Lindsey Graham is up for a re-election now. Okay, so just so we're clear. And the Democrat, who is a white woman pediatrician, Annie is coming for that ass. And she is gaining ground in South Carolina against Lindsey Graham, 100%. Yeah. So, if you don't know that, y'all don't talk to Bear. Bear is a bot with like 2 fucking followers, y'all. What do I keep saying, y'all? Stop it. Wasting your energy. Stop it. Good Lord. Yeah, Annie is amazing. Let me tell you why. And again, not part of her campaign. Don't know anybody over there. And I would absolutely, so we know what state had the largest outbreak of measles in the United States of America last year, do we not? Who was it, y'all? Do y'all know what state it is? South Carolina. Dr. Annie Andrews is a pediatrician. Dr. Annie Andrews is a pediatrician in South Carolina going against Lindsey Graham with the greatest number of measles cases in the last year since the Trump administration took over. If I had anything to do with her damn campaign, and I don't, I would 100% be talking about those things and the impact on South Carolina's children. 100%. I would be tying that into healthcare. I would be tying that into the One Big Beautiful Bill. I would be tying that into, the health outcomes of our children. Every ounce of that, because she's a pediatrician. And then if it were possible, even if they didn't come and say anything with her, Annie Andrews, I would be taking the statements put out by the American Association of Pediatrics, and I'd be talking about all of those things. Yeah, we know Spider Alexis. Yeah, we know it was Shirley Chisholm. Yeah, baby. What? Can I see? What do you need? Oh, it came off?
Yeah, I know how to put it back.
Yeah, you're looking. You might have to ask Dominic. Yes, baby girl. Yes.
Who picked these pictures?
Those are cute pictures. Bella, you have to ask Dominic where the super glue is.
Okay.
Because I can fix it for you. But there's a whole bag of paintbrushes. Never mind, I found it. Okay. Holy jeez. Oh, did you Living with the Louds? I love that. I love that. What's up, Grand Diva? All right. That was not me doing that on purpose. I have the double tap the back of your phone to take selfies. And so when I just moved my phone, moved my desk, it hit my phone at the back of the thing and just took a selfie, which I will have to delete later because WTF. All right. So, I would 100% be using that as part of my talking points for families in South Carolina. If I were her and any of the parents had been interviewed whose children had measles, I'd be going to talk to those parents, right? Because you can't get HIPAA information, which is fine. But if those parents went out into the media and talked about their children being sick, or they talked about any of that, I would be going to talk to those families, 100%. And for those of y'all who missed it, Louisiana has selected a Black man to run for the Senate. Did you know that? Did you know that? No, I don't know what you're talking about. Who said you disrespected anybody?
He was primary.
Yeah, Jamie Davis, Black man, Black farmer. Yeah. In Louisiana, Jamie Davis has been selected as a Black man to run for Senate in Louisiana. You were reading the prompt. The prompt doesn't say anything about disrespecting the chat, Here you go, babe. Fixed it. Look.
That's why I really believe that Janet Marion did the direction that people are going in, them changing the map wasn't going to change the attitudes of the majority of the people in the state.
Oh, I think it changed the attitudes, but not in the way that they wanted.
Right. That's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Them changing the state wasn't going to get the result that they wanted because the minds have been changed away from the Republican Party based on the hitman up on top.
Yeah, 100%. So no, I mean, no need to apologize. You know, so the prompt says FBA is dangerous to Black American progress. It doesn't say anything about you being disrespectful in the chat, right? So 2 different things. Appreciate it. All right, so folks, let me dig in for just a second. So yesterday I started, before I dig in, I want to give folks time. You're not dangerous though. Well, I mean, if you want to discuss it, you're welcome to request up. The prompt says that FBA is dangerous to Black American progress. And I base that off of my interactions with multiple folks that consider themselves to be FBA on this app. The messaging that I've heard from those folks who identify as FBA on this app. Yeah, I know it's a lineage, but I'm talking about the rhetoric and the actions coming from the loudest of you all on this app. That's where the problem is coming from. Yeah, so I didn't judge you as an individual, right? Yeah, I hear you. Here's what I would say, right? Is y'all might want to get collectively together. FBA stands for Foundational Black Americans. Okay? And the reason for me they have become problematic, and the reason there is an issue with you're welcome. Then the reason that I believe that they are a danger to American progress is because so don't, Grand Diva, don't, I wouldn't even do it. But so let me just say, so here's my thing is what I have seen from the majority of folks that consider themselves to be FBA, or that's how they identify, is they talk about, oh, well, we're not going to vote for Democrats until we get reparations, as if Democrats by themselves can give reparations, because they cannot, period. Like, it's not a thing. It would still require the Republican Party to participate in that, right? So it's just horseshit. It is divisive. It is dangerous. And it will absolutely impede upon the progress of Black Americans in this country. So just to be clear, and they spit a bunch of anti-immigrant rhetoric. They spit a bunch of, all of those types of things. Okay. So
they somehow try to separate themselves as though somehow they are better than people who are meant to be from Africa or African lineage. That's what I don't understand. What is the need to separate yourself?
They just say we were here before 1865. And they said that they can trace themselves here before 1865. And for me to believe. Well, and here's my thing. Whether that's true or not, to me, doesn't change anything. It doesn't change a damn thing. It means you're no more valuable than anybody else that exists here, that got here from anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so, well, nobody said that everybody, not everyone is from African lineage. Well, I don't know about that, because like even white people are from African lineage. So, but saying that that your ancestors were not part of the transatlantic slave trade is fine. Right? Like saying, okay, well, my folks did not come here as part of the transatlantic slave trade. Fine. Right? Fine. and you're still no more, I don't know, important or whatever than everybody else. Right. Mitochondrial DNA says we all are.
But how could you even discern that? And here we are in 2026. How could you discern that? What method would you go to make that determination?
Here's my thing. My understanding is that they can trace their lineage prior to 1865, because that is when most folks that came over that were descendants of the transatlantic slave trade started appearing in census documents, right? But I don't know that that means that that's when they got whatever, right? So give me 1 second. So the thing about it is that, yeah, hey Wasim, I just, it is wild to me when I think about, we know that the first arrival of transatlantic slave trade, the first enslaved black people to be brought here was 1619. So to me, even saying I can trace myself back here before 1865 doesn't mean your ancestors weren't trafficked here. And even if it did, so what? And even if it did, so what? But the rhetoric to divide the vote is harmful to Black people today. So while people want to argue about lineage from centuries ago, your rhetoric today is harmful for the progress of your people today and your descendants. Oh my God. Red Hot, block them folks, for real. For real, and for fucking real. Block. Hold on, y'all. Give me 1 second.
I just know I find it difficult to go beyond my great grandfather. You know, I don't know how they can just go all the way back to 18.
I will tell you this: I have managed to trace my ancestors back on my dad's side of the family. Yes. Okay, well, you guys can share the blue. Bella, can you share, please? And there's lots of different blues in there. There's a ton of different blues in there, folks. So I've gotten as far back as my third great grandfather. And that's just through censuses and so forth. And so that's as far back as I've gotten. After that, it begins listing the potential fathers as slaveholders, right? And so that's what I've been able to find on my side, on my dad's side. And it's a lot of work to try to cross-reference and all of those different types of things. Yes, baby. Yeah. So shits and giggles. Many states did not even use the schedules for enslaved persons. So like, when I start seeing folks on the census, it is not even on the, you've traced back to the 1790s. Love that. Yeah, I think for me, as far as I've gotten, what's up, Aaron? I saw you come in here. So like, when I look at the mother of my third great grandfather, who she was enslaved, I have her as being born in 1825. So that's as far back as I've gotten, is 1820. Now there's a potential before that, but I don't have that. So that's as far as I've gotten. And because that's no DNA, no nothing, right? So anyway, my whole point about the reason my position is, because I don't want to get into, hey, Arvette, welcome back. So listen, the reason my position is that FBA is dangerous to Black American progress is because they are divisive within the Black community, and they are, the people that I encounter repeatedly are working diligently to divide the Black vote. And that is harmful to Black American progress today. Period. Right? You busy living back in 1865 and you're not worried about what the shit is happening right now today. And so for me, you are literally doing the work of the colonizers. You are literally, that verbiage is doing the work of the white colonizers that enslaved Black and brown people. You are literally still creating division amongst us. And what's crazy work is some of the folks that are quote unquote leading your movement are entertaining conversations with white supremacists like Richard Spencer. Wild to me, crazy work. Why would we ever be doing such a thing? Yeah, make sure that you use, just like, don't use a lot, okay? Listen, you can't, it's hard to put it back. So put out a little bit at a time, because you can always add more. It's harder to put it back, okay? There you go. Y'all, I love that they love to paint. They get that from their tutu, by the way. But anyway, okay. Arvette, nobody is retiring. It was reported that Alito was retiring, and then it was retracted. Okay. All right. Did it help that I put this up here? Yes, no, red hot. I tried, girl. All right. So there's a couple things that I want to talk about really, really quickly. I say really quickly, but it's not going to be really quickly. We got some more time together, and I would like to know, before I do that, Frozo, are you still here? And is there anything that you want to dig into is there anything you want to contribute before I read this damn document?
I'm breathing. I'm listening. I feel my IQ has been rising for the past half an hour that I've been listening to this conversation. And I had a really bad start to my day today. Okay, it was a really bad morning, and then I thought, let me see what's going on TikTok. When on TikTok I was talking, about potentiality of a race war in the UK. And I said, and I disagree that there's going to be a race war. I don't think there's going to be no race war in the UK, because quite frankly speaking, the racists are too unintelligent to be able to organize themselves in any sort of way. They're going to commit massive violence against ethnic minorities. They're not that intelligent. I'm going to be very, very honest with you, okay? Because when the Southport riots happened like 2 years ago, and they was going to come to my town, it was going to come to my area. It's going to target our corner shop, our mosque, and a few other places. But all the brown people turned up, and there was no sight of them.
Right.
And that was in multiple locations. So that told me, hold on a second, you're just a bunch of cowards. Because you only ever target people when they're either on their own or isolated, or places that are symbolic but empty. Like, for example, vandalizing someone's shop while they're not in the shop, or setting fire to people's homes while they're not there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when we turn up, they're afraid. So I'm like,
right.
There's not going to be no race war. Unless the government makes it possible, i.e. via the digital ID, and instituting essentially a kind of ICE type situation where they systemically target ethnic minorities. And they essentially work with the white community to ethnically cleanse brown people from the community. That's the only way that's likely to happen. But by themselves, they're not intelligent enough to be able to do that. That's why you see them organizing this kind of underground boxing, training montages, preparing for a race war that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Makes you like that.
It makes you laugh. That's like the funniest thing I've ever seen. Oh, there's war and they're going to boxing. Okay.
So you know what it reminds me of? So do y'all remember when everything, like, I don't know, 6 to 8 weeks ago, when the whole Iran thing was really like, it was kind of peaking, right, in terms of media, Lego videos and all of that, and all of a sudden there was this trend of white boys in their backyard with axes going, sign me up, ready with this war with Iran, and they're like chopping the wood in the tree or whatever, and I was like, you know, they're using drones, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just reminds me of, like, what are we doing? Boxes and axes in the backyard and whatever. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm just saying. It's just like, what are you doing, Billy Joe?
It's really this performative fake alpha trying to be
Alpha male. Mm-hmm.
thing,
Yeah.
right, that they don't really have, right? They're really trying to project something they don't have. Or
Yes.
they think that they have, but
Yeah.
they don't.
Morning, DNC Warrior.
Right.
Yeah, it's that Andrew Tate fake ass phenomenon, right?
Yeah, exactly. And unsurprisingly, when I was saying this, one of them came up, and when I mentioned the part about the government potentially getting involved and doing an ICE-like situation, he then says, "Yeah, that's exactly what we need in this country."
Mm-hmm.
My IQ proceeded to drop by like 10 points. Then he continues to speak. I completely forgot everything he said because he eviscerated my IQ. I had to leave, go and get some ice cream, and come and join you on your panel.
I love. What kind of ice cream did you get?
I got myself some Magnums. With
Okay,
some,
now see over here, Magnums are not ice cream.
Well, to me, it's ice.
Over here, Magnums are not ice cream.
Well, for me, it's icy. I can eat it. It's ice cream. That's all I need. Okay? As it's got that ice.
There is a Magnum ice cream here. Okay, I'm sorry. It's ice cream? Not where I live. We don't have Magnum ice cream where I live. But not right. It's decadent. Oh my God. Y'all are hilarious. Oh my God. Yeah, we don't have it here. I'm just saying.
I mean, for me, my standard of ice cream is that you need to put it in a freezer. Yes. Inside, absolutely. Is it? Yeah, that's it. That's my standard of ice cream.
Okay. Apparently it is Maryland. Stephanie Steph over here on YouTube said, "Oh my." Right. I'm just saying. Vanilla with chocolate coated. Okay, got it. I mean, so like I know what a dipped cone is or whatever, but like I don't know that we have Magnums. Now I'm gonna have to look. Anyway, yeah.
Let me get my ice cream. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Give me 1 second.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure I've got.
Hilarious.
Oops.
Okay, I'm Googling it. Literally.
So I've just opened a new pack, so I'm gonna have it now. But I will show you what I'm talking about.
They are fancy ice cream. Okay.
It is. This to me is ice cream. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see if I can turn on my camera.
I'm just saying.
Is this UK?
Yes, he's in the UK. But apparently they have them in like Publix and Harris Teeter and Lowe's or Target. And this is part of the reason why I've never seen them is because I don't shop at Publix because the bitch who is the heir tried to help overthrow the government. Okay, I see. Okay, and then I do Harris Teeter occasionally, and I don't do Target.
This is like I know people don't like the phrase milk chocolate, but it's like milk chocolate,
Yeah. So apparently they have like all different kinds. There's chocolate on the outside. Some are half chocolate on the top with nuts on them. Some have raspberry. I mean, I'm just looking, and there's apparently a whole bunch of them. But you get it at Kroger. Okay, there's no Kroger where I live. But anyway, okay. Really, y'all? We went all the way to.
I heard you say you don't do Publix. What
Yes.
are the other ones you don't do?
So I don't do Publix. I don't do Target. Ever since Target went cut DEI, I don't shop at Tiger. Look, Marilyn said, "Yep, they are fire." And then Tracy put it in language that my country girl ass can understand. She said, "Yes, more expensive and creamier than a brown cow." Had you said that, like a brown cow or a brown mule, I know what that is. But yeah, I'm just saying.
Yes, now I'm just opening another one, and now I'm going to be having it during the course of this live.
Well, enjoy, and you are welcome.
Okay, I have no idea what you guys are talking about, but I feel smarter by being in this live. That's what I'm going to say.
I love that for us.
I'm going to stay mute and enjoy this delectable, this good stuff.
Yes, fancier than Ben and Jerry's. I got it. The brand is called Magnum. Just saying. Okay. All right. So holy geez. Yeah. So I don't do Publix and I don't do Target, either one. Yeah, a lot. All right. So listen, there's something that I do want to share with everybody that will be of benefit. Okay. So let me ask this question. Yes, the ice cream, Siberia. So real heartfelt question to you all. If you have not ever read the Powell memo, please put a 1 in the chat. We started it yesterday. We didn't get anywhere close to finishing, but if you have not read the Powell memo, please put a 1 in the chat. Okay, because that is where I want to go. And the reason I want to go there is because I got you. Is because I believe it will be incredibly beneficial for where we are today and where we want to go in the next 126 days before the midterms. He's going to have to leave me a message. That means Dominic's classes are probably in because that's what that call is. So can we do me a favor? Can somebody really quickly give me a mod break? And then, yep, his classes are here too. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So, yep, they got their glasses. Mila's eye appointment has been rescheduled for next week. So her glasses will be in. All of them will have their new glasses before school starts. So kudos to me. Go Tutu. Do I have, Red Hot, are you even safe to do a mod announcement? Because, we had to put you on house arrest for a while. Okay, so I'm gonna let Red Hot do a mod announcement real quick while I empty my bladder. Okay, and then we're gonna come back and we're doing the Powell memo. So listen, this is really important, and if you give a shit about the country, you need to listen in. Okay, I'll be right back.
Hi y'all. I don't know if I should be offended or what, but anyway,
we love you.
Go ahead and keep tapping the screen for me, please. It looks like we have 160 shares. If I can see, good Lord, I need glasses myself. If everybody could share, we have over 300 people in here, so we should have way more shares than that, as Cam always tells us. Also, get your daily heart me, please, up at the top next to Dani's name. All these things help the algorithm. I'm still in tears from the Magnum stuff, but anyway, before I get in trouble. Also, if you have not signed up for a Project for the People, please go to Dani's link tree. You click on her little picture, and then you go to the little thing will pop up, and you can go in her link tree and sign up for a Project for the People. I'm not going to lie and say I know every time they have the meetings, but yes, everybody needs to be signed up for that, please, and thank you. Also, I'm loving these conversations this week. We've had a lot of people getting triggered, but it's interesting to talk it out. So I like hearing it anyway. I don't know if I'm missing something, Cam. Oh, okay, thank you. 8 p.m. Eastern this Thursday is the Project for the People meeting. Be there, be square, and yeah. I'm not getting in trouble today. That's all. Lord. Is it hot where y'all are at? Because it's like 9,000 degrees in Kentucky.
And the most important thing, these magnums are the best.
We have them here. I don't know why I guess they don't have them where Dani is, but we have the ice cream here.
Happy girl.
What was the issue with the Magnum? I haven't heard of it either. But Dani, what were you?
No!
What was your issue?
Oh, wow.
What was,
Oh, wow.
I didn't get the joke. What happened, Dani? Why are you doing?
What? You're a man. What?
Because magnums are condoms, damn it.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought.
No, Veronica, I don't. That was a good question.
I did not,
Belly.
I was not familiar that Magnums was also a brand of condoms either.
It's a particular brand for particular types of people that need them.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about ice cream, not those guys. So
I'm just saying it's a particular brand for a particular type of people that need them. But anyway,
Had us in the uproar. That's why.
yes, right. Except he meant ice cream. So anyway,
I know.
all right. So thank you, Red Hot. I appreciate you guys. All right. So here we go. So listen, folks. You know how we have been talking about a lot of the things that we are seeing. He's eating ice cream, Rena. So you know how we have been talking about the fact that where we are today has been in the works for 50 plus years, right? We know that to be so. Appreciate you, PNW. And so, but when we know that, right, then we need to take a look at what are the people that have been orchestrating this saying, and what are the different pieces that go along with it. And this Powell memo is one of them that is very, very specific and very important. Anybody that is friends with Darnell, feel free to tag him and let him know that we are, or shoot him a message and let him know that we're going to go over it really quickly. So the Powell memo, what you need to know is Lewis F. Powell Jr. Was an associate justice on the Supreme Court. So this is not just some willy-nilly private attorney somewhere. Yes, baby girl. What, baby? It's okay. I'll fix it. It's okay if it came out. Yes, babe. Okay, well, she didn't mean to. Just let her know. She was trying to give me my water, love. Just put it on the counter and I'll put it back, sissy. Yes, baby.
The silver pod somehow got it.
It's okay. It just pops out. Yes, babe. She'll be off in an hour and then she'll be here. Okay. All right, here we go. So Powell memo, incredibly important. For anybody that wants to read along, it is also in my link tree. If you want to read along, the Powell memo is there as well. Just saying, Steph, right? Dun Dun has already been taken care of by a moderator. We don't talk to Dun Dun in this space. Dun Dun is someone who is fixed on colorism and is hateful. Yeah, fuck Dun Dun. Okay, here we go. I know you muted them as soon as they came in. Love that. Cam is on it. I believe the APAC memo is also in my in my link tree. What's up, Black Nerd Cat? Okay, so listen, this is from August the 23rd of 1971. Okay, so literally a couple of years before I was born. It is a confidential memorandum, and it is entitled "Attack on American Free Enterprise System." It is to the chairman of the Education Committee for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And it is written by Lewis F. Powell Jr., who was an associate justice at the Supreme Court. And this is what it says. This memorandum is submitted at your request as a basis for the discussion on August the 24th with Mr. Booth and others at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. The purpose is to identify the problem and suggest possible avenues of action for further consideration. Now, I want to make a couple of notes as we go through this, okay? One of the things that these folks always do, whether you're looking at the Heritage Foundation, whether you're looking at the Esther Project, whether you're looking at there's another one from the Heritage Foundation. Every time they write a memo or a project or a whatever or a report, they are always identifying what they perceive to be the problem. And then they are always outlining, okay, these are the people that are participating. This is how or why they are dangerous or significant. Yeah, that's Project 2025, the mandate for leadership. And what are the potential solutions? They are always planning their work so that they can then work their plan. And they plan their work very consistently. And what they do is they'll give you potential avenues of how they could go about things. And then if something doesn't work, they just pivot and they come to another one. And then they just pivot. Everything is fluid for them. And this is something that progressives and the Democrats could really take a lesson from on how to move things and get things forward. There's the benefit to having an outline, right? And then being able to walk through that outline and give yourself room to make changes and to adjust to whatever is happening, okay? So at the top, it says dimensions of the attack. No thoughtful person can question that the American economic system is under broad attack. Now, he's got an asterisk at the end of that sentence. And the footnote says, variously called the quote unquote free enterprise system, quote unquote capitalism, quote unquote profit system. The American political system of democracy under the rule of law is also under attack, often by the same individuals and organizations who seek to undermine the enterprise system. So they are directly correlating our economic system of capitalism to our political system, as if the two are inevitably intertwined and cannot be undone. And he says, there always have been some, he says this varies in scope, intensity, in the techniques employed, and in the level of visibility. There always have been some who oppose the American system and preferred socialism or some form of statism, communism, or fascism. Also, there always have been critics of the system whose criticism has been wholesome and constructive, so long as the objective was to improve rather than to subvert or destroy. But what now concerns us is quite new in the history of America. Remember, this is 1971. We are not dealing with episodic or isolated attacks from a relatively few extremists or even from the minority socialist cadre. Rather, the assault on the enterprise system is broadly based and consistently pursued. It is gaining momentum and converts. And then the next section is labeled sources of the attack. The sources are varied and diffused. They include, not unexpectedly, the communists, the new leftists, and other revolutionaries who would destroy the entire system, both political and economic. These extremists of the left are far more numerous, better financed, and increasingly are more welcome and encouraged by other elements of society than ever before in our history. So this was sent to the Chamber of Commerce, Deuces Wild. And no, I mean, I would say that they are going to be connected in some form or another. So yeah, exactly, Gumps. Here we go. But they remain a small minority and are not yet the principal cause for concern. The most disquieting, and this is the part that I really want y'all to hear, listen, the most disquieting voices joining the chorus of criticism come from perfectly respectable elements of society, from the college campus, the pulpit, the media, the intellectual and literary journals, the arts and sciences, and from politicians. In most of these groups, the movement against the system is participated in only by minorities. Yet, these often are the most articulate, the most vocal, the most prolific in their writing and speaking. This idea that they want you to believe that we are low IQ, that we are dumb, that they know better. They know better. I want you to think about the people that were speaking and that were writing at this time. I want you to think about the James Baldwins, the Maya Angelou's, the Angela Davises. I want you to think about those people and the messaging and the wording. They knew that these folks were not low IQ. They were not buffoonery, the way that they often portrayed Black and brown people in the media and in television. That's not the way that it is. What's up, cuz? Right? It says in most of these groups, the movement against the system is participated in only by minorities. And yet, these are often the most articulate, the most vocal, the most prolific in their writing and speaking. Moreover, much of the media, John Lewis, for varying motives and in varying degrees, either voluntarily accords unique publicity to these quote unquote attackers, or at least allows them to exploit the media for their purposes. This is especially true of television, which now plays such a predominant role in shaping the thinking, attitudes, and emotions of our people. I want you all to remember this is 1971, folks. One of the bewildering paradoxes of our time is the extent to which the enterprise system tolerates, if not participates, in its own destruction. The campuses from which much of the criticism emanates are supported by, one, tax funds generated largely from American business, and two, contributions from capital funds controlled or generated by American business. The boards of trustees of our universities overwhelmingly are composed of men and women who are leaders in the system. Most of the media, including the national TV systems, are owned and theoretically controlled by corporations which depend on profits and the enterprise system to survive. The next section is tone of the attack. This memorandum is not the place to document in detail the tone, character, or intensity of the attack. The following quotations will suffice to give one a general idea. So now he's going to identify a couple of people and give you quotes from them to demonstrate or provide an example of what the tone is. William Kunstler, warmly welcomed on campuses and listed in a recent student poll as the quote-unquote American lawyer most admired, incites audiences as following, quote, "You must learn to fight in the streets, to revolt, to shoot guns. We will learn to do all of the things that property owners fear," end quote. The new leftists who heed Kunstler's advice increasingly are beginning to act, not just against military recruiting offices and manufacturers of munitions, but against a variety of businesses. Quote, "Since February 1970, branches of Bank of America have been attacked 39 times, 22 times with explosive devices and 17 times with firebombs or by arsonists," end quote. Although new leftist spokesmen are succeeding in radicalizing thousands of the young, the greater cause for concern is the hostility of respectable liberals and social reformers. It is the sum of their total views and influence which could indeed fatally weaken or destroy the system. A chilling description of what is being taught on many of our campuses was written by Stuart Alsop. Quote, "Yale, like every other major college, is graduating scores of young, bright men who are practitioners of the politics of despair. These young men despise the American political and economic system. Their minds seem to be wholly closed. They live not by rational discussion, but by mindless slogans, end quote. A recent poll of students on 12 representative campuses report that, quote, almost half the students favored socialization of basic U.S. industries. Listen to that. 1971, 12 campuses across the country, and almost half of the students favored the socialization of basic U.S. industries. A visiting professor from England at Rockford College gave a series of lectures entitled, quote, The Ideological War Against Western Society, end quote, in which he documents the extent to which members of the intellectual community are waging ideological warfare against the enterprise system and the values of Western society. In a foreword to these lectures, famed Dr. Milton Friedman of Chicago warned, quote, it is crystal clear that the foundations of our free society are under wide-ranging and powerful attack, not by communists or any other conspiracy, but by misguided individuals parroting one another and unwittingly serving ends they would never intentionally promote, end quote. Perhaps the single most effective antagonist of American business is Ralph Nader, who, thanks largely to the media, has become a legend in his own time and an idol of millions of Americans. A recent article in Fortune speaks of Nader as follows, quote, the passion that rules in him, and he is a passionate man, is aimed at smashing utterly the target of his hatred, which is corporate power. He thinks and says quite bluntly that a great many corporate executives belong in prison for defrauding the consumer with shoddy merchandise, poisoning the food supply with chemical additives, and willfully manufacturing unsafe products that will maim or kill the buyer. He emphasizes that he is not just talking about, quote unquote, fly-by-night hucksters, but the top management of blue chip business, end quote. A frontal assault was made on our government, our system of justice, and the free enterprise system by Yale professor Charles Reich in his widely publicized book, quote, The Greening of America, published last winter, which would be 1970. The foregoing references illustrate the broad shotgun attack on the system itself. There are countless examples of rifle shots which undermine confidence and confuse the public. Favorite current targets are proposals for tax incentives through changes in depreciation rates and investment credits. These are usually described in the media as quote unquote tax breaks, loopholes, or tax benefits for the benefit of the business. And that part is even underlined. As viewed by a columnist in the Post, such tax measures would benefit, quote, only the rich, the owners of big companies, end quote. It is dismaying that many politicians make the same argument that tax measures of this kind benefit only, quote unquote, business without benefit to the, quote unquote, poor. The fact that this is either political demagoguery or economic illiteracy is of slight comfort. This setting of the quote unquote rich against the poor is business against the people is the cheapest and most dangerous kind of politics. So immediately I go, now I'm interested. Even if I didn't know anything else, the fact that he considers pitting the rich against the poor as dangerous politics makes me want to put the rich against the poor. Because if he considers that to be dangerous to the establishment, then that's the verbiage that we should be using. They are literally telling you what they consider to be dangerous to their infrastructure, to their systems, right? To the way that they conduct business. And if that's what they're afraid of, then that is absolutely the language that we should be using. The apathy and default of business, okay? What has been the response of business to this massive assault upon its fundamental economics, upon its philosophy, upon its rights to continue to manage its own affairs, and indeed upon its integrity? The painfully sad truth is that business, including the boards of directors and the top executives of corporations, great and small, and business organizations of all levels, often have responded, if at all, by appeasement, ineptitude, and ignoring the problem. There are, of course, many exceptions to this sweeping generalization, but the net effect of such response has been made is scarcely visible. In all fairness, it must be recognized that businessmen have not been trained or equipped to conduct guerrilla warfare with those who propagandize against the system, seeking insidiously and constantly to sabotage it. The traditional role of business executives has been to manage, to produce, to sell, to create jobs, to make profits, to improve the standard of living, to be community leaders, to serve on charitable and educational boards, and generally to be good citizens. They have performed these tasks very well indeed, but they have shown little stomach for hard-nosed contests with their critics and little skill in effective intellectual and philosophical debate. A column recently carried by the Wall Street Journal was entitled, quote, "Memo to GM, Why Not Fight Back?" End quote. And although it was addressed to GM by name, the article was a warning to all American business. Columnist St. John said, quote, "General Motors, like American business in general, is plainly in trouble because intellectual bromides have been substituted for a sound intellectual exposition of its point of view," end quote. Mr. St. John then commented on the tendency of business leaders to compromise with and appease critics. He cited the concessions which Nader wins from management and spoke of the fallacious view many businessmen take toward their critics. He drew a parallel to the mistaken tactics of many college administrators. Quote, "College administrators learned too late that such appeasement serves to destroy free speech, academic freedom, and genuine scholarship. One campus radical demand was conceded by university heads, only to be followed by a fresh crop which soon escalated to what amounted to a demand for outright surrender." One need not agree entirely with Mr. St. John's analysis, but most observers of the American scene will agree that the essence of his message is sound. American business, quote unquote, plainly is in trouble. The response to the wide range of critics has been ineffective and has included appeasement. The time has come, indeed, it is long overdue, for the wisdom, ingenuity, and resources of American business to be marshaled against those who would destroy it. Top of page 10, the next section, responsibility of business executives. What specifically should be done? The first essential, a prerequisite to any effective action, is for businessmen to confront this problem as a primary responsibility of corporate management. The overriding first need is for businessmen to recognize that the ultimate issue may be survival. And y'all, they underline survival, like survival. Survival of what we call the free enterprise system, and all that this means for the strength and prosperity of America and the freedom of our people. The day is long past when the chief executive officer of a major corporation discharges his responsibility by maintaining a satisfactory growth of profits with due regard to the corporation's public and social responsibilities. In other words, listen, CEOs, you can't just be CEOs of your companies anymore. Right? CEOs, that's not your only job. Anna sees, you might be able to see, but you clearly can't hear because I'm reading a historical memo from a member of the Supreme Court from 1971. So you might be able to see, but you obviously cannot hear because this is literally a historical document that I'm reading. No. Okay, so listen. It is a fact that this memo was written by an associate justice to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce in advance of a meeting to explore potential solutions for people that opposed the free enterprise capitalist system and how it is being utilized and how it was being utilized with corporations in 1971. So we're not discussing what their opinion is. And by the way, it's not opinion when you're giving footnotes to where you're pulling the quotes from, right? So like when he's reading the quotes from the press, those are facts. And it would be a lot easier if you would just come up to the panel. I can't request you, but I would love to see you come to the request box. So we can discuss the document and what part of it you don't like. No, it's not someone else's opinion on an article. So maybe you're missing it. The fact is that this document exists. The fact is that they wrote this document in an effort to squash dissent. That's the fact. Do you understand that? We're not talking about whether his take on it was accurate or not. We are talking about the fact that this is his take, was his take, and the fact that they had a meeting to discuss ways to do it. Girl, you don't even understand. What are you talking about? Take care of you. What the fuck are you talking about? Either get on the, maybe, are you AI? Because you can't be real. Maybe you're AI. Are you an AI bot? Yeah, she's an AI bot, y'all. It's not the responsibility of your employer. You see that? She's an AI bot, not a real person. Gotta be. Because y'all know AI be talking to you like that. And you'd be like, what the fuck? I didn't say that. Yeah. And probably one of the few prove me wrong, bro moments you'll ever see me have is Anna C's. You're AI until you prove me wrong. Okay? You're an AI bot until you prove me wrong. What's up, Ja? Okay. Super good job. I love it. Mila coloring. We love to see it. Beautiful. All right, here we go. The day is long past when the... I already read this part. So he says, if our system is to survive, top management must be equally concerned with protecting and preserving the system itself. This involves far more than an increased emphasis on public relations or governmental affairs, two areas in which corporations long have invested substantial sums. A significant first step by individual corporations could well be, listen to this, the designation of an executive vice president, ranking with other executive VPs, whose responsibility is to counter on the broadcast front, on the broadest front, the attack on the enterprise system. Y'all don't stop talking to Anna. Stop talking to Anna. Stop talking to her. Just leave your ass in there. Just leave the bot alone. Don't help the algorithm. Don't help AI learn how to speak, please. Just leave her sitting there. All right, so listen. So what they are offering as a potential solution at the bottom of page 10, top of page 11, is for the largest corporations to assign and create a new executive vice president position, right? And that VP's like sole purpose will be to counter on the broadest front the attack on the enterprise system. The public relations department could be one of the foundations assigned to this executive. Here, let me help you. The public relations department could be one of the foundations assigned to this executive, but his responsibilities should encompass some of the types of activities referred to subsequently in this memorandum. His budget and staff should be adequate to the task. The next section, possible role of the Chamber of Commerce. This to me is incredibly important. But independent and uncoordinated activity by individual corporations, as important as this is, will not be sufficient. Strength lies in organization, in careful, long-range planning and implementation, in consistency of action over an indefinite period of years, in the scale of financing available only through joint effort, and in the political power available only through united action and national organizations. Did y'all listen to that part? Because it's pretty damn important. He says, listen, it's not enough to just have individual corporations have an executive VP to work to defend and to target those people that are trying to come after capitalism. No. There must be a coordinated effort amongst these corporations that has to include long-range planning and implementation, consistency over an indefinite, I want y'all to see that, though it says indefinite period of years. When have you ever seen progressives organized to such a degree and commit to doing work for an indefinite number of years? In other words, for however the fuck long it takes. If you can't admire anything else, you have to admire their commitment and their work ethic. It's commitment and work ethic to horrific ends, but they are committed to that shit and they consistently show up in it. This is why Project for the People is Project 2029. It literally covers for the next 2.5 years. Literally, Project for the People is Project 2029. It's a 2.5 year project. I'm just not labeling that shit Project 2029 because I don't give a fuck about the year. I care about the people. The people are the focus, not the year. Okay. And then they are telling corporations that you got to make sure that you fund this appropriately. And he says, so moreover, there is the quite understandable reluctance on the part of any one corporation to get too far out in front and to make itself too visible a target. The role of the National Chamber of Commerce is therefore vital. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. Listen. What, honey? Okay, get a snack. Y'all, we have to focus on what we're reading. I don't control if Robert Reich or Move On or anybody else uses part of my ideas around Project 2020, Project for the People. Seriously, I don't control that. They have more money, they have more visibility, they have more whatever than I do. And to be honest, I don't know that I actually even give a fuck if it ends up accomplishing what it needs to accomplish. And here's what I also know. Here, please. If someone is attempting to, quote unquote, take something that belongs to me or that I created or that whatever, let me just be clear. The universe will give it back to me 100-fold, and they will get back to them what is coming 100-fold. So again, it's a third circle. I can't control what they do or don't do. And so I'm not doing it. And it would not be the first time a rich white man took something from a black woman. So I'm certainly not focused on it. Please don't jump. Okay, here we go. The possible role of the Chamber of Commerce. But independent and uncoordinated activity by individual corporations, as important as this is, will not be sufficient. Strength lies in organization, in careful long-range planning and implementation, in consistency of action over an indefinite period of years, in the scale of financing available only through joint effort, and in the political power available only through united action and national organizations. Moreover, there is the quite understandable reluctance on the part of any one corporation to get too far out in front and to make itself too visible a target. The role of the National Chamber of Commerce is therefore vital. Other national organizations, especially those of various industrial and commercial groups, should join in the effort. But no other organization appears to be as well situated as the Chamber. It enjoys a strategic position with a fine reputation and a broad base of support. Also, and this is of immeasurable merit, there are hundreds of local chambers of commerce which can play a vital support role. It hardly need be said that before embarking upon any program, the Chamber should study and analyze possible courses of action and activities. Hey! Absolutely not. And I mean that with every fiber of my being. Absolutely not. And I'm not going to say it again. It hardly need be said that before embarking upon any program, the Chamber should study and analyze possible courses of action and activities, weighing risks against probable effectiveness and feasibility of each. Guys, the same thing is outlined in Project 2025. The same thing is outlined in Project Esther. They outline what are the potential risks versus what could we potentially gain? How fast do we have to move to outrun the potential risks? They do this in every single one of them. Considerations of cost, the assurance of financial and other support from members, adequacy of staffing and similar problems will require the most thoughtful consideration. The next part says the campus. The assault on the enterprise system was not mounted in a few months. It has gradually evolved over the past 2 decades, barely perceptible in its origins and benefiting from a gradualism that provoked little awareness, much less any real reaction. The same could absolutely be said for what has become the MAGA movement or the conservative movement, the conservative mandate, right? It was just barely perceptible. It just kept growing over the last 50 years. They learned. Although origins, sources, and causes are complex and interrelated, and obviously difficult to identify without careful qualification, there is reason to believe that the campus is the single most dynamic source. Did you hear them? The campus. The social science faculties, the social science faculties usually include members who are unsympathetic to the enterprise system. They may range from a Herbert Marcuse, Marxist faculty member at the University of California at San Diego, and convinced socialist, to the ambivalent liberal critic who finds more to condemn than to commend. Such faculty members need not be in a majority. They are often personally attractive and magnetic. They are stimulating teachers, and their controversy attracts student following. They are prolific writers and lecturers. They author many of the textbooks, and they exert enormous influence, far out of proportion to their numbers on their colleagues and in the academic world. They are specifically telling you they are going after the academia, the universities. Social science faculties, the political scientists, the economists, sociologists, and many of the historians tend to be liberally oriented, even when leftists are not present. This is not a criticism per se, and that part's underlined, as the need for liberal thought is essential to a balanced viewpoint. The difficulty is that balance, quote unquote, is conspicuous. It's conspicuous by its absence on many campuses, with relatively few members being of conservative or moderate persuasion, and even the relatively few often being less articulate and aggressive than their crusading colleagues. This situation, extending back many years and with the imbalance gradually worsening, has had an enormous impact on millions of young American students. In an article in Barron's Weekly, seeking an answer as to why so many young people are disaffected even to the point of being revolutionary, it was said, quote, because they were, quote unquote, taught that way. Or, as noted by columnist Stuart Alsop, writing about his alma mater, quote, Yale, like every other major college, is graduating scores of bright young men who despise the American political and economic system, end quote. As these, quote unquote, bright young men from campuses across the country seek opportunities to change a system which they have been taught to distrust, if not indeed despise, they seek employment in the centers of the real power and influence in our country, namely within the news media, especially television, in government as staffers and consultants on various levels, in elective politics, and as lecturers and writers, and on the faculties at various levels of education. Many do enter the enterprise system in business and the professions, and for the most part, they quickly discover the fallacies of what they have been taught. But those who eschew the mainstream of the system often remain in key positions of influence where they mold public opinion and often shape governmental action. In many instances, these quote unquote intellectuals end up in regulatory agencies or governmental departments with large authority over the business system they do not believe in. It is, yeah.
So I am so sad that my IQ is increased now, and I have to go and do work. I'm really sad.
Well, we are sad that you go. We hope that your Mandigo was great, though.
Yeah, no, I learned so much today. I always learn a lot from you, to be quite honest with you.
Well, thank you. Here.
See, this is why Dani should be president. I'm going to say it now.
Nope.
She doesn't want it, you guys. She don't want it. She don't want it. She don't want it. But she's amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
If I could vote for you, I would vote for you, but I can't vote because I'm not in the UK. So.
Yeah, even if you could vote, I'm not running, so you can't vote for me.
Exactly. You're not running, so I can't vote for you, which is sad.
Mm-mm.
Anyways, my day will get better it's just that there's a lot of stuff that I really should have done, but I didn't do it. So I need to do that.
Take it, go do it now.
Yeah. I need to get that done. I will have a great day, and I shall see you hopefully tomorrow.
Okay.
You're here tomorrow.
Yes.
I shall see you tomorrow.
I'll be here tomorrow.
I shall watch my IQ go back up again.
All right. Appreciate you. Have a good one, Frozo.
You too.
I know. AJ, give me just a second. Okay. All right. So, if the foregoing analysis is approximately sound, a priority task of business and organization such as the Chamber is to address the campus origin of this hostility. Few things are more sanctified in American life than academic freedom. It would be fatal, listen to this, to attack this as a principle. But if academic freedom is to retain the qualities of openness, fairness, and balance, which are essential to its intellectual significance, there is a great opportunity for constructive action. The thrust of such action must be to restore the qualities just mentioned to the academic communities. Next, what can be done about the campus? The ultimate responsibility for intellectual integrity on the campus must remain on the administrations and faculties of our colleges and universities. But organizations such as the Chamber can assist and activate constructive change in many ways, including the following. Here's the plan. Remember, 1971. Number 1, staff of scholars. The Chamber should consider establishing a staff of highly qualified scholars in the social sciences who do believe in the system. It should include several of national reputation whose authorship would be widely respected, even when disagreed with. A staff of speakers. There should also be a staff of speakers of the highest competency. These might include the scholars, and certainly those who speak for the Chamber would have to articulate the product of the scholars. 3, a speakers bureau. In addition to full-time staff personnel, the Chamber should have a speakers bureau, which should include the ablest and most effective advocates from the top echelons of American business. Evolution of textbooks. The staff of scholars, or preferably a panel of independent scholars, should evaluate social science textbooks, especially in economics, political science, and sociology. This should be a continuing program. The objective of such evaluation should be oriented toward restoring the balance essential to genuine academic freedom. This would include assurance of fair and factual treatment of our system of government and our enterprise system, its accomplishments, its basic relationship to individual rights and freedoms, and comparisons with the systems of socialism, fascism, and communism. Most of the existing textbooks have some sort of comparisons, but many are superficial, biased, and unfair. We have seen the civil rights movement insist on rewriting many of the textbooks in our universities and schools. The labor unions likewise insist that textbooks be fair to the viewpoints of organized labor. Other interested citizens groups have not hesitated to review, analyze, and criticize textbooks and teaching materials. Yes. Go ahead. In a democratic society, this can be a constructive process and should be regarded as an aid to genuine academic freedom and not as an intrusion upon it. In other words, we want to, so in other words, we want to play a role in shaping the tools of your education so that it presents a view we want presented. It's really wild to hear him say. So he says, listen, if the authors, publishers, and users of textbooks know that they will be subjected, honestly and fairly and thoroughly, to review and critique by eminent scholars who believe in the American system, a return to a more rational balance can be expected. Next, equal time on campus. The chamber should insist upon equal time on the college speaking circuit. The FBI publishes each year a list of speeches made on college campuses by avowed committees. The number in 1970, get this, exceeded 100. There were, of course, many hundreds of appearances by leftists and ultra liberals who urged the types of viewpoints indicated earlier in this memorandum. I want you all to remember that this is during Vietnam, okay? Please remember that this is during Vietnam. There were no corresponding representation of American business or indeed by individuals or organizations who appeared in support of the American system of government and business. Every campus has its formal and informal groups which invite speakers. Each law school does the same thing. Many universities and colleges officially appear. Many universities and colleges, it doesn't have colleges plural, but it should be. The Powell memo, it's in my link tree. Many universities and colleges officially sponsor lecture and speaking programs. We all know the inadequacy of the representation of business in the programs. It will be said that few invitations would be extended to chamber members, to chamber speakers. Ouch. This undoubtedly would be true unless the chamber aggressively insisted upon the right to be heard, in effect insisted upon, quote unquote, equal time. University administrators and the great majority of the student groups and committees would not welcome being put in the position publicly of refusing a forum to diverse views. Indeed, this is the classic excuse for allowing communists to speak. The two essential ingredients are one, to have, listen to this. These are the two ingredients for who they want to put onto college campuses. Are you ready? Number one, to have attractive, articulate, and well-informed speakers. In that order, I guess. Attractive, articulate, and well-informed speakers. And number two, yes. Okay. And number two, to exert whatever degree of pressure, publicly and privately, may be necessary to assure opportunities to speak. The objective always must be to inform and enlighten and not merely to propagandize. Next, balancing of faculties. Perhaps the most fundamental problem is the imbalance of many faculties. Correcting this is indeed a long-range and difficult project, yet it should be undertaken as part of an overall program. This would mean the urging of the need for faculty balance upon university administrators and boards of trustees. The methods to be employed require careful thought, and the obvious pitfalls must be avoided. Improper pressure would be counterproductive. Can you get me the flavor stuff for Sissy? But the basic concepts of balance, fairness, and truth are difficult to resist if properly presented to the Board of Trustees by writing and speaking and by appeals to alumni associations and groups. Listen to this, you all. This sentence right here. Fuck N-A. Listen, this is a long road and not one for the faint-hearted. This is a long road and not one for the faint-hearted. But if pursued with integrity and conviction, it could lead to a strengthening of both academic freedom on the campus and of the values which have made America the most productive of all societies. Bella, can you get me the stuff to flavor her water? This is the moment that we are currently in, by the way, you all. It is a long road and not for the faint-hearted, but it's a lot shorter than 20 years. Do y'all want to know the difference that we have available to us that wasn't available 50 years ago, 55 years ago when this memo was written? The thing that we are on right now. The thing that we are on right now is the difference. The ability to level the playing field, the ability to get the information out, the ability to organize, to inform, to rally, right? To activate, to mobilize, okay? Has never been more at our fingertips than right now in this moment. Bella, can you please get me the stuff so I can flavor her water, please, babe? Thanks. She likes the berry blast, Bella. And so this is the thing. What was a long road then, what took decades then, does not need to take decades now. It does not need to take decades now. We literally can achieve the first segment of what we desire for this country, what is necessary to set us on track, literally in 2 years and 6 months. And the biggest chunk of it, the most critical part, like the foundation of it, is 126 days away. Appreciate it, Jeff. You hear me? The most critical piece of it, the foundation of which we would build on, is just 126 days away. Can you lock in for 126 days? Can you be committed? Can it be the thing that you are focused on? Can it be in the top 3 to 5 things that you are focused on in your day-to-day? Top of page 20. And yes, we are getting close. Graduate schools of business. The chamber should enjoy a particular rapport with the increasingly influential graduate schools of business. Much that has been suggested above applies to such schools. Bella, can you not slam those, baby? What are you looking for? What are you looking for, honey? The what? The Clorox wipes? The wipes, they're in my bedroom on the floor. I did Titan's litter box this morning. Listen to this. Should not the chamber also request specific courses in such schools dealing with the entire scope of the problem addressed by this memorandum? This is now essential training for the executives of the future. Listen, they are telling you, like, what we're putting in here needs to be incorporated into our graduate school curriculum. We need to be training CEOs and business people, future CEOs, future entrepreneurs, when they come through our graduate schools for business. This needs to be part of what we teach them as how to be a successful business person, as how to be a successful corporate executive. If you don't get it by now, the right has always been involved in dictating the education of people. Right, they wrote and planned courses and curriculum for this material for graduate programs. Secondary education, in case you thought they were just going to stop at graduate schools. Secondary education, while the first priority should be at the college level, the trends mentioned above are increasingly evidenced in the high schools. Action programs tailored to the high schools and similar to those mentioned should be considered. The implementation thereof could be a major program for local chambers of commerce, although the control and direction, especially the quality control, should be retained by the national chamber. So now they want to get into your public education of your children from a capitalist perspective. What can be done about the public? That's the next section. Reaching the campus and the secondary schools is vital for the long term because the children are the future. Reaching the public generally may be more important for the shorter term. The first essential is to establish the staff of eminent scholars, writers, and speakers who will do the thinking, the analysis, the writing, the analysis, the writing, and the speaking. It will also be essential to have staff personnel who are thoroughly familiar with the media and how most effectively to communicate with the public. Among the more obvious means are the following: television. The national television network should be monitored. Listen to this. The national television networks should be monitored in the same way that textbooks should be kept under constant surveillance. This applies not merely to so-called educational programs, such as quote unquote selling of the Pentagon, but to the daily quote unquote news analysis, which so often includes the most insidious types of criticism of the enterprise system. Yes.
I fell on the floor.
I heard you. You're okay. You're a tough girl. You didn't hurt yourself.
I fell.
I know sometimes we fall.
I fell on the hard floor.
I know. But listen, so sometimes when we fall on the hard floor, like it might be like a bump that bothers us, but it doesn't like really hurt us, right? Because we're not cut, we're not bruised, like it doesn't really hurt. So there's a difference between when something bothers us and when something really hurts. But you don't look hurt, you look okay. You just want to cuddle, don't you? Come give me a hug. Come here, girl. You don't have to be hurt to get a cuddle. All right, let me finish because I'm almost done, okay? Stop. Okay. All right. Next. All right. Whether this criticism results from hostility or economic ignorance, the result is the gradual erosion of confidence in business and free enterprise, right? This monitoring, to be effective, would require constant examination of the text of adequate samples of programs. Complaints to the media and to the Federal Communications Commission should be made promptly and strongly when programs are unfair or inaccurate. Do y'all hear that? I just want to read this again. In the monitoring of our television shows, okay? In the monitoring of our television shows, they want you to, they were instructing them, right, to pull out the pieces that were against capitalism, against the government function, and make complaints to the media and to the Federal Trade Commission when programs are unfair or quote unquote inaccurate, right? Equal time should be demanded when appropriate. Well, Reagan did not agree, but whatever. Efforts should be made to see that the forum type programs, listen to this, it names them. Efforts, excuse me. Efforts should be made to see that the forum type programs, examples, the Today Show, Meet the Press, etc., afford at least as much opportunity for supporters of the American system to participate as these programs do for those that attack it. Now, if you just go over here and look real quick, the Fairness Doctrine was done when? It was a 1949 policy, right? But that was not enough. All right, so here we go. Other media. I almost lost y'all. Okay. Other media. Radio and the press are also important, and every available means should be employed to challenge and refute unfair attacks, as well as to present the affirmative case through these media. Next, the scholarly journals. It is especially important for the Chamber's quote-unquote faculty of scholars to publish. One of the keys to the success of the liberal and leftist faculty members has been their passion for quote-unquote publication and lecturing. A similar passion must exist among the chamber scholars. Incentives might be devised that induce more quote unquote publishing. Listen to this. Incentives might be devised to induce more publishing by independent scholars who do believe in the system. In other words, we'll incentivize you if you agree with us to publish your works. There should be a fairly steady flow of scholarly articles presented to a broad spectrum of magazines and periodicals, ranging from the popular magazines, Life, Look, Reader's Digest, etc., to the more intellectual ones, The Atlantic, Harper's, Saturday Review, New York, etc., and to the various professional journals. And then books, paperbacks, and pamphlets. Do y'all see how damn detailed they are? They didn't just say television, radio, and papers. They literally said television, radio, papers, other media, scholarly journals, books, paperbacks, pamphlets. And this is not all. They continue. Books, paperback, and pamphlets. The newsstands at airports, drugstores, and elsewhere are filled with paperback and pamphlets advocating everything from revolution to erotic free love. One finds almost no attractive, well-written paperbacks or pamphlets on quote unquote our side. No attractive, well-written paperbacks or pamphlets on quote unquote our side. It will be difficult to compete with an Eldridge Cleaver or even a Charles Wright for reader attention, but unless the effort is made on a large enough scale and with appropriate imagination to assure some success, this opportunity for educating the public will be irretrievably lost. Next, paid advertisements. Business pays hundreds of millions of dollars to the media for advertisements. Most of this supports specific products. Much of it supports institutional image making, and some fraction of it does support the system. But the latter has been more or less tangential. I don't know why I can't say that. Tangential, and rarely part of a sustained major effort to inform and enlighten the American people. If American business devoted only 10%, listen to this, if American business devoted only 10% of its total annual advertising budget to this overall purpose, it would be a statesman-like expenditure. You wonder why they bail out corporations. Could it be because corporations spend money to uphold a system that doesn't work for the people? Could it be that corporations set aside annual dollars to uphold a pro-capitalist and free enterprise system and infrastructure, and they are incentivized to do so? The neglected political arena. In final analysis, the payoff, short of revolution, is what government does. Business has been the favorite whipping boy of many politicians for many years. But the measure of how far this has gone is perhaps best found in the anti-business views now being expressed by several leading candidates for President of the United States. It is still Marxist doctrine that the capitalist countries are controlled by big business. But they are. This doctrine, consistently a part of leftist propaganda all over the world, has a wide public following among Americans. Yet, as every business executive knows, few elements of American society today have as little influence in government as the American businessman, the corporation, or even the millions of corporate stockholders. If one doubts this, let him undertake the role of quote unquote lobbyist for the business point of view before congressional committees. The same situation obtains in the legislative halls of most states and major cities. One does not exaggerate to say that, in terms of political influence, with respect to the course of legislation and government action, the American business executive is truly the quote-unquote forgotten man. Current examples of the impotency of business and of the near contempt with which businessmen's views are held are the stampedes by politicians to support almost any legislation related to consumerism or to the environment. Politicians reflect what they believe to be the majority views of their constituents. It is thus evident that most politicians are making the judgment that the public has little sympathy for the businessman or his viewpoint. The educational program suggested above would be designed to enlighten public thinking, not so much about the businessman and his individual role, as about the system which he administers and which provides the goods, the services, and the jobs on which our country depends. But one should not postpone more direct political action while awaiting the gradual change in public opinion to be effected through education and information. Business must learn the lesson long ago learned by labor and other self-interest groups. This is the lesson that political power is necessary, that such power must be assiduously cultivated, and that when necessary, it must be used aggressively and with determination, without embarrassment, and without the reluctance which has been so characteristic of American business. As unwelcome as it may be to the chamber, it should consider assuming a broader and more rigorous role in the political arena. What the fuck? He says, listen, labor learned this. Labor learned that it needed political power, and labor used political power to get its position. And they are saying, hey, business people, hey, corporations, you need political power too. You need to become a damn lobbyist too. You need to find that, and then you need to be unashamed in the way that you use that political power. And here's what I would say to each and every one of us. Political power is fucking necessary, and we should get it. We should cultivate it. And when necessary, we should use our political power aggressively and with determination. And we should use it without embarrassment and without reluctance, which has been so characteristic of these damn corporations and everybody else. We should acquire that political power. We should cultivate it. We should use it unabashedly. We should use it aggressively. And we should use it in the primaries. We should use it in the general election. We should use it at town halls. We should use it at our board of supervisor meetings, at our county commission meetings, at our city hall meetings. We should need it absolutely everywhere. Next part, neglected opportunity in the courts. American business and the enterprise system have been affected as much by the courts as by the executive and legislative branch of government. Under our constitutional system, especially with an activist-minded Supreme Court, the judiciary may be the most important instrument for social, economic, and political change. Other organizations and groups, recognizing this, have been far more astute in exploiting judicial action than American business. Perhaps the most active exploiters of the judicial system have been groups ranging in political orientation from liberal to the far left. The American Civil Liberties Union is one example. It initiates or intervenes in scores of cases each year. It files briefs, amicus curricula in the Supreme Court in a number of cases during each term of that court. Labor unions, civil rights groups, and now the public interest law firms are extremely active in the judicial area. Their success, often at business's expense, has not been inconsequential. So this is an associate Supreme Court justice telling you that we must utilize the courts. We must utilize the judicial system. And it is a system that 50 years ago, the liberals and the far left were using properly and productively. And we're seeing that once again. But it should not take us being in this position to keep using the thing that was working in the 70s, right? This is a vast area of opportunity for the chamber if it is willing to undertake the role of spokesman for American business. And if in turn, business is willing, get this, to provide the funds. Business, you provide the funds and the chamber will do it for you. As with respect to scholars and speakers, the chamber would need a highly competent staff of lawyers. In special situations, it should be authorized to engage to appear as counsel amicus in the Supreme Court, lawyers of national standing and reputation. The greatest care should be exercised in selecting the cases in which to participate or the suits to institute, but the opportunity merits the necessary effort. How do y'all fucking think we got Citizens United? Not by mistake. Next, neglected stockholder power. The average member of the public thinks of quote unquote business as an impersonal corporate entity owned by the very rich and managed over by overpaid executives. There is an almost total failure to appreciate that business actually embraces, in one way or another, most Americans. 1971, Cam. Those for whom business provides jobs constitute a fairly obvious class. But the 20 million stockholders, most of whom are of modest means, are the real owners, the real entrepreneurs, the real capitalists under our system. They provide the capital which fuels the economic system, which has produced the highest standard of living in all history. Yet stockholders have been as ineffectual as business executives in promoting a genuine understanding of our system or in exercising political influence. The question which merits the most thorough examination is how can the weight and influence of stockholders, 20 million voters, be mobilized to support, one, an educational program, and two, a political action program. How about that? Now, at the same time, what are they also doing? They are asking the question, how can we mobilize the votes of Christian churches across this country, right? How can we win them over? How can we get them aligned in an ideology that they really don't care about, right? What is the mechanism? Because we can't use the civil rights movement. We can't go into churches and say, listen, Jesus loves us all, and yet we don't like being integrated. So what can we use to win over, right, the church? AB, that's what we can use, right? We can get them behind that. And then how do we mobilize them? Because we know that they will do whatever their pastors tell them. So they are mobilizing the poor folks who simply own some stock and are of meager means to advocate for the corporations, right, that are exploiting us, while at the same time getting into the churches to exploit the church. Individual corporations are now required to make numerous reports to shareholders. Many corporations also have expensive, quote unquote, news magazines, which go to employees and stockholders. These opportunities to communicate can be used far more effectively as educational media. Let me teach you what to think about the free enterprise market. The corporation itself must exercise restraint in undertaking political action and must, of course, apply with applicable laws. But it is not feasible through an affiliate of the chamber or otherwise to establish a national organization of American stockholders and give it enough muscle to be influential. Is it not feasible? Is it not feasible through an affiliate of the chamber to establish a national organization of American stockholders and then give it enough muscle to make it influential? Business interests, especially big business and their national trade organizations, have tried to maintain low profiles, especially with respect to political action. As suggested in the Wall Street Journal article, it has been fairly characteristic of the average business executive to be tolerant, at least in public, of those who attack his corporation and the system. Very few businessmen or business organizations respond in kind. There has been a disposition to appease, to regard the opposition as willing to compromise or as likely to fade away in due time. Business has shunted confrontation politics. Business, quite understandably, has been repelled by the multiplicity of non-negotiable quote-unquote demands made constantly by self-interest groups of all kinds. While neither responsible business interests nor the U.S. Chamber of Commerce would engage in the irresponsible tactics of some pressure groups, it is essential that spokesmen for the enterprise system at all levels and at every opportunity be far more aggressive than in the past. There should be no hesitation to attack the naders, the Marcuses, and others who openly seek destruction of the system. There should not be the slightest hesitation to press vigorously in all political arenas for support of the enterprise system, nor should there be reluctance to penalize politically those who oppose it. Oh, dear God, why do we hesitate to call them out? Lessons can be learned from organized labor in this respect. The head of the AFL-CIO may not appeal to businessmen as the most endearing or public-minded of citizens. Yet over many years, the heads of national labor organizations have done what they were paid to do very effectively. They may not have been beloved, but they have been respected where it counts the most by politicians on the campus and among the media. It is time for American business, which has demonstrated the greatest capacity in all history to produce and to influence consumer decisions, to apply its greatest talents vigorously to the preservation of the system itself. The cost. They always count the cost, you all. They always count the cost. The type of program described above, which includes a broadly based combination of education and political action, if undertaken long-term and adequately staffed, would require far more generous financial support from American corporations than the Chamber has ever received in the past. High-level management participation in Chamber affairs would also be required. The staff of the Chamber would have to be significantly increased, with the highest quality established and maintained. Salaries would have to be at levels fully comparable to those paid key business executives and the most prestigious faculty members. Professionals of the great skill in advertising and in the working of the media, speakers, lawyers, and other specialties would have to be recruited. It is possible that the organization of the Chamber itself would benefit from restructuring. For example, as suggested by union experience, the office of the president of the Chamber might well be a full-time career position. To assure maximum effectiveness and continuity, the chief executive officer of the Chamber should not be changed each year. The functions now largely performed by the president could be transformed to a chairman of the board, annually elected by the membership. The board, of course, would continue to exercise policy control. Almost done. Essential ingredients of the entire program must be responsibility and quality control. The publications, the articles, the speeches, the media programs, the advertising, the briefs filed in courts, and the appearances before legislative committees all must meet the most exacting standards of accuracy and professional excellence. They must merit respect for their level of public responsibility and scholarship, whether one agrees with the viewpoints expressed or not. The threat to the enterprise system is not merely a matter of economics. It is also a threat to individual freedom. Bullshit. It is this great truth, which is not truth, now so subverged by the rhetoric of the New Left and of many liberals, that must be reaffirmed if this program is to be meaningful. In other words, you have to convince people that their individual freedoms are connected to the sustenance and to the existence of the free enterprise system. There seems to be little awareness that the only alternatives to free enterprise are varying degrees of bureaucratic regulation of individual freedom, ranging from that under moderate socialism to the iron heel of the leftist or rightist dictatorship. We in America already have moved far indeed, very far indeed, towards some aspects of state socialism, as the needs and complexities of vast urban society requires types of regulation and control that were quite unnecessary in earlier times. In some areas, such regulation and control have already seriously impaired the freedom of both business and labor, and indeed of the public generally. But most of the essential freedoms remain: private ownership, private profit, labor unions, collective bargaining, consumer choice, and a market economy in which competition largely dominates price, quality, and the variety of goods and services provided by the consumer. We're not there anymore, folks, and haven't been for a very long time. In addition to the ideological attack on the system itself discussed in this memorandum, its essentials also are threatened by inequitable taxation and more recently by an inflation which has seemed uncontrollable. But whatever the causes of diminishing economic freedom may be, the truth is that freedom as a concept is indivisible. As the experience of the socialist and totalitarian states demonstrates, the contraction and denial of economic freedom is followed inevitably by governmental restrictions on other cherished rights. It is this message above all others that must be carried home to the American people. Conclusion. It hardly need be said that the views expressed above are tentative and suggestive. The first step should be a thorough study. But this would be an act in futility unless the board of directors of the chamber accepts the fundamental premise of this paper, namely that business and the enterprise system are in deep trouble and the hour is late. That's the end. Belly, will you get me some more water? Thank you, baby. Just water.
That paint kept getting in the wind. I kept spilling the water.
It's because it's on your pants.
Yeah, the black got on the floor and I didn't realize I was stepping on it.
That's okay. It's okay.
Also, the lid was down and I stepped on it and I didn't know that.
Okay. Did you get it up?
Yeah,
Okay. 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 Just water, babe.
wrong way.
So a couple of things as I keep talking. So for my folks that are in Gaza that speak English and Arabic, if you could do me a favor and put in the comments for people to not spam the comments and talking in Arabic, and also to not tag all of my moderators. They are literally bombarding the inboxes of my folks right now, and I need them to stop doing that. We understand that people need help and we're getting there, but it is not helpful when they flood the inboxes of people. So if we could let them know that, that would be very, very, very helpful. I get it. I do. It just also is overwhelming for folks. And not only is it overwhelming, but for some folks who don't have the ability to help, it also hurts because they want to help and because they love you guys so much. So thanks for helping and letting them know. All right, so listen, I'm gonna need a couple of folks that hold space in the West. So if you are on the West, I'm gonna bring a couple of you up, okay? And then for and we love you too, Hussein. Hussein. I don't know what I just said. Let me handle this over here. So listen, guys, we are entering the time over here on TikTok where I said we would do another Pally panel today. This is when we bring up folks that are in Gaza or the West Bank, and people are able to gift them on TikTok in terms of coins. They're able to use that in cryptocurrency to help buy the things that they need on a regular basis. In my link tree, there are direct links and ways to support people, which you can do that there. So feel free to utilize that. If you are not able to, or you can come over to TikTok and you want to participate, now is the time to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and wind down because it's a lot to manage over here and the chat is pretty full. The request box is very full and I don't want to neglect you guys over this space. So I appreciate you all for listening. If you haven't already, go to makingamericatruelygreat.com, sign up for Project for the People. Make sure that you are at the meeting this Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have 126 days until the midterms. That is 126 days. Like, think of it this way. Imagine in your head right now that you are writing a pink slip to Mike Johnson as the Speaker of the House. Imagine that you are writing a pink slip to some of these folks that are in office, right? This is their notice. You're giving them notice. They have 126 more days left to work, and then they're going to be winding down. Okay. So I just really want you all to think that. Remember that. Okay. All right. I love you, mean it. I will see you guys tomorrow.